overcome. That one was 21. Here's Benny going to the end zone. Can he make the catch? Yes!
And had confidence that Trebek could make the adjustment on this beautifully thrown pass.
Throws one up the seam. It's caught. Elijah Moore in the open. Left sideline to the 40, to the 30, to the 20, 10, 5. Pylon. Touchdown. Elijah Moore streaks down the left side of the field.
O'Brien looking right and left. A pass into the left corner. Touchdown. 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 Al Toon has a touchdown.
They give it to Curtis, my favorite Martin. Touchdown. J-E-T-S-S-S-S.
From the 24, O'Donnell from the shotgun, Deshaun Johnson, throw the damn ball! The corner, touchdown, tie game at 24 apiece.
Revis comes up with his first breakup. Well, here's the matchup. You see Johnson gives him the stick to the outside, then gets inside, and that's perfect position. The big guy inside the shorter one, but Revis getting in. That's why he's the best.
Sure, it'll get more busier as we get in, but whoever's in here is good. Shout out to you guys. But Zach Rosenblatt will be on about 8:40 or so for 25 minutes. Then Antoine will be in tonight. Usually he comes in every week. He couldn't make it last week, so you guys want to ask some questions or whatever, keep it short. Their time's limited, and after Zach leaves, we can get into the venting of what you want to see differently, whatever else is going on in Jet World. So,
you hear that Pillow Soft press conference this afternoon?
The what?
Pillow Soft, like
Who?
that. Nah, it just felt. Well, I don't know. I would have thought they came with better questions. I mean, we just lost, but I'm not going to go after Zach like that, but I'm just saying before he comes on, if you listen to the press conference, like the first 5 or 6 questions was about Zach Wilson, obviously, but then I don't know, it just felt like, these guys didn't ask him any questions. Like he answered like he always does. Like, it wasn't like it was in week 1, obviously there were no receipts comment either, but I just felt like, I don't know, I would have thought they would ask him more questions, kind of not to cause a controversy, but to get him on the record on some of the stuff. It was, I don't know, to me, it was kind of a soft, press conference, like after a loss like that.
I think the media is backing off a little bit now, to be honest, but we shall see. I know they hear the fans for sure. I know they're hearing it. Robert, what's up?
Yeah, I just to piggyback on that, I still don't have a clear explanation from the media or the coaching staff as to why Quentin was screaming on the sidelines. I mean, they'd said that it was because he was uncomfortable with the defensive game plan or scheme, or they were blitzing 7 and he wanted to rush 4. What defensive tackle gives that kind of input to a coaching staff?
Well, I think a lot of that goes on. We just don't see it, and I don't think that Saleh and them should tell us what's going on, because that would make them look bad. So they're not going to do that.
Yeah,
to be honest.
The whole thing looks bad all around.
Well, yeah, but that happens. Rob, thanks for coming on. Appreciate you. But, that happens all the time. Like, we see it. You saw a couple of times Brady did it to people. They do it, these guys. So
yeah, you're absolutely right, Petey. That happens a whole bunch of times.
But I just don't think they want to air it out and say, oh, they're going to say, well, the coach said something that Quentin. No, they're going to keep that in house.
Well, Petey, Robert said I liked it. He liked that he was fiery, that showing that he cares or whatever, and then he started to play even better or whatever, and trying to penetrate or whatever. So, what I'm saying, little nitpicking or whatever like that. That's, what I'm saying, if your player gets fiery, then so be it. Let him get fiery or whatever, because that's what he's supposed to be. He's supposed to be fiery.
Did get better after that. You're right, Big T.
Well, they did get better.
I mean, what did they give up?
7. They go 7 in the second half. They gave the offense a
I mean,
chance.
the Bengals were toying with us in the second half. I mean, they weren't running any serious offense at that point.
Let me tell you something. The Jets are 6th in the league in stopping the run, and they're 18th.
The game's over the game's over in the second quarter.
Yeah, I don't think so, brother. I don't think so. I don't know. You was watching. I don't think so.
But Ray,
the game's
go ahead.
over in the third quarter. I mean, that's why.
I don't think the game was over though in the third quarter, bro, because I'm going to get into it in the show. It pissed me off. The Jets were down 11 points and you come out and you throw an aggressive pass right away down the field. Like, just get back into the game. Be simple. Just do something. Do something different. Like, not throw the ball that's against us.
How can the game be over in the third quarter when they were in the 20-something yard line? If they score in the fourth quarter, and it's 27-20.
I'm not gonna mute anybody. Just let's not talk over.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
It's not. I get it. Robert T-Rock's passionate. Ray, go ahead.
What's up, fellas? Tanah, what's up? Petey, it was good talking to you today.
What's up, Ray?
What's up, T? Terrence, what's going on? Kenny, Rusty, as always, Jet. My question to you guys is it me? Because I did a ton of ranting on Monday. Or does this game this week coming up feel like this is the freaking season on the line? Because I will tell you this, I will be there against Miami no matter what, and I would never give my tickets up. But I know for a fact, if we get our asses kicked against Pittsburgh, I'm going to have to sit in those effing stands with my wife, filled in a sea of blue and orange.
It's already going to be, Ray. They already bought the tickets, Ray. So it's going to be Dolphin fans regardless.
But the real question is the season really on the line here? Am I going to be trick-or-treating with my nieces and my nephews? Because last year was on a Sunday. I was like, who gives a shit? Am I going to be like that this year when it's on Monday? Is this the season right here?
I don't know, man. Honestly, I can't answer that. I mean, I would think it's, kind of a must win, but I still think that, there's season left. When we all saw the schedule come out, I know for me, I was saying 1-3, whatever. And you can call me negative or whatever, but that's just me.
I think most fans would have settled for 2. I said it. So if we go and win Sunday and we look okay and Zach's back playing well, I'll be very optimistic going forward because we all know a good QB can cover up a lot of crap, even on defense. Because if you look, the defense wasn't getting completely crapped on. It's just when your offense can't score a touchdown ever, it's a field goal. I can only imagine how demoralizing that is. And this stuff, my last point, I'll shut up. I'll listen to you guys. T, I disagree with you with one thing. What is Saleh going to say? If Quentin Williams is going off on a coach, Saleh has never, ever, ever said a bad word about one of his players. LaMarcus Joyner is probably a bottom 5 safety in the entire NFL, and he will still let him play 100% of the snaps. Quincy Williams can get every single late hit, roughing the passer, whatever it is. He's never said a bad word. Quincy's got his head in the right place. He's just got to work on that. JFM, undisciplinary play. Whitehead with the missed tackle, undisciplinary play going for the blow-up. And I never hear shit about this coach talking about the players. But Ray, I'll leave it to that.
Ray, guys, Zach's in the space, so let me invite Zach. Zach, I'm gonna send the co-host to you. Just accept it when I send it, all right? Give me a second here. Sorry, guys. I got a guest coming on, so if you got your hands up, if you guys want to ask something, bring it to the table. Let Zach come up here. Zach, just accept the invite that I sent you. It should be a blue thing.
Don't forget what you were just talking about, Ray, because you touched on a couple of things that we plan on talking about and that I wanted to talk about as well. So when Zach is done later on, we'll come back to those topics.
All right. We're trying to get Zach up here. I don't know if did he come up yet? No, that's Tip. What up, Tommy? Zach, I'm going to cancel the co-host and then invite you to speak. Hopefully that works. Give me a second here, guys. Sorry for the We're like CBS right now. We're having a little technical difficulties, like yesterday.
That was bad yesterday too.
That was
Especially at that time.
I think
right.
Ian Eagle pulled the plug. He didn't want to do any announcing.
All right. Zach says he hasn't seen anything pop up, but he's on the space. He's probably just got to click listen, right? What does it say when you join space or listen?
Yeah, it says to either listen or come up as a speaker, but he may have to log out and then come back in just for it to pop up because I sent it to him multiple times and he hasn't received it.
Right.
No, it's because I'll drop. Somebody's got to go down. That's what it is.
All right. All right, give me a second. All right, Zach, I'm inviting you to speak again. I think he just logged out. Hopefully he comes back in. Give me a second. There he is. Hey, Zach, can you hear us? Unmute's on the bottom left, Zach. I don't know if you ever.
There we go.
There you are. Hey, Zach, I appreciate you coming on, man. How are you?
Good, man. How you doing?
Good. So I got Tanad, my co-host. Tanad, say hello to Zach.
Zach, what's going on? Thank you for coming
Yeah, no
on with us, man.
Hey, Zach, first of all, welcome to the Jet Lounge Twitter space. And Zach, I got to ask you, first of all, before we get into the games, what do you think? Our fan base is pretty passionate and crazy, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I didn't know what I was in for when I joined this beat, but I'm loving it. The passion is good for business for me, so I don't mind it. I so far everybody's been nice to me, but I'm just a bad tweet away from everybody hating me. So.
And Zach, I could assure you this, man, that was funny, but you'll be well respected on here. It's a very professional forum, and we got you covered. Anybody who comes on and says anything, they'll be removed. So you're good here in our space, all right?
All right, sounds good.
All right, so Zach, overall, I know people. First of all, Jet fans are livid about yesterday or whatever. I mean, I'm not going to get too crazy about firing the coach. There's no way, in my eyes, you could do that. But I mean, there's hope on the horizon, I would say, with Zach coming back. Correct?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, he represents, something different. The offense clearly isn't working with Joe Flacco. I think it was a nice story week 2, that comeback, but he's very limited in what he can do. He was missing a lot of guys that were open, missing in terms of not even seeing that they were wide open, and he was making a lot of bad decisions, and he can't move. So there's going to be a lot of pressure. So I know Zach hasn't done well against pressure, but he at least has the mobility to get outside the pocket. So it's all theoretical at this point. Nobody really knows what Zach's going to look like this year because he hasn't even really practiced in a long time. And last year wasn't great. So it's all theoretical, but the talent is there, and you hope that he kind of lives up to what they need him to be.
Zach, would you say yesterday's game was non-competitive? Because I do think it was a very competitive game.
Yeah, I think it was competitive. I mean, not to, parrot Salah, but, they really did shoot themselves in the foot a few different times at key moments in the game. I think the one that sticks out in particular, beyond the obvious ones from earlier, is that Corey Davis penalty because, he gets it's a really ill-timed moment for a veteran, and they were in scoring position. If they score a touchdown there, all of a sudden it's a one-score game. He gets that penalty and he puts them out of range. Makes it a 4th and long or whatever it was. So I think that was killer. Maybe you have a little hope after that, but they made a lot of mistakes, and good teams make mistakes and they can say, okay, we had a bad week and we had some bad luck, but the Jets haven't earned the benefit of the doubt yet. So that's not an excuse, but yeah, I think it felt very much like week 1 where, the game wasn't as lopsided as, maybe the final score said. The Jets, it didn't feel like the Jets were destroyed or anything. They just really were not prepared properly for that game. Honestly, it felt like.
Guys, we're talking to Zach Rosenblatt from The Athletic, the new Jets beat writer. Thanks, Zach, again for coming on. Tanad, go ahead.
Zach, I have a question based on what you just spoke about and what PD asked you, the competitiveness of the game. To me, it was still a good, it was still a game that we were in it, even later in the third. We're down 15. Even coming out the half, we're down 11. It's still a game. If the offense was able to score a touchdown, to be able to come out to start the second half, I think that would have helped the defense out a lot. and you see the frustration from Quentin Williams, which I understand. Obviously, you don't want to show up your coach, on the side, but to me, it's just like it happens when players are frustrated that they're not able to make plays as a team. Things like that is bound to happen. When you look at the game, late in the third and early in the fourth, did you still feel like if the offense could get a touchdown, they could make something out of it? Because that's how I felt, and I spoke to PD about it, and it was just like just watching the game. It was like if the offense was able to get a touchdown when they needed it, that's all that the offense would have needed to be able to really help the defense out.
Yeah, I think that's fair. The Jets have, I mean, this is like been a problem for a long time, obviously, but they have this thing where the offense and the defense can't ever seem to, play well at the same time because the defense started terribly. And then once the defense started playing well, the offense just could not get anything going. So, yeah, I agree with that because by the time, in that time period you're talking about, the defense had been playing a lot better. That, it was after Quinton's blow up and they stopped blitzing and the pass rush was doing a little better. They weren't sacking them, but they were pressuring and, the safety spot is still a problem, but, the defense is playing a lot better. But the offense, it was just mistake after mistake and, penalties and Joe Flacco missing guys and stuff like that. So they just couldn't really get anything going. So to go back to Zach, like the hope is that Zach can come in and maybe make some of those plays that Joe wasn't.
Yeah, Zach, I'm going to get to hands in a minute, but what I was going to say is what really turned me off was the John Franklin Myers penalty. I like my first thought as a Jet fan, because you know how we're thinking. I said, that's game over. We stopped them. They would have punted. We probably would have had the ball at least the 30 to 35 yard line. And it just changes the whole game. And then Flacco didn't connect with Elijah Moore on that corner. And then he missed Breece Hall on that wide open wheel route that Zach, probably you could have scored on if he caught it, because he had nothing but green in front of him. So to me, that was the key, especially in the first half.
Yeah, and you just can't put yourself in position to get that penalty because you know what the rules are. He already got rid of the ball. Like there weren't nothing. It wasn't going to affect the play. The fact that he did that, so it was a bad penalty. I think a lot of people question whether it was a penalty, but it almost doesn't matter because you just can't put yourself in position to do that kind of thing.
Yep. Guys, we got some hands up. Ray, I'm going to get to you. Just be mindful, guys. Zach's only on for like 20 minutes or so. So ask the question, keep it short and simple, and let's go, Ray. Go ahead.
Zach, I'll get to mine really quick. I just want to get your opinion on it. Last year, we saw a lot of undisciplined play out of this team. I feel it's rolled over into this year. And I almost feel like as fans, we're kind of starting to already tune out Saleh. The catchphrases like he's Mike Tomlin. Do you think that's having the same effect with players in the locker room? All gas, no break. You got to be better the next day than you are today. And he's telling the players all that. But eventually, when you're not winning, I almost feel like players start to tune that out. Maybe some of that frustration is starting to spill over onto the field with these mental errors and Quentin Williams going off. Do you get any sense of that in the locker room?
I think it's a very fair question. I think you started to see the first cracks in the foundation this week with the Quentin thing and DJ Reed calling for a meeting between the coaches and players and stuff like that. You could definitely sense some frustration, but I think it's just the frustration. I think is more around the fact that this team feels like they have the legit talent and the ability to play a lot better than they've shown, and they feel like the same thing that Saleh feels like, is that they've made 5 mistakes in these 2 losses, where if you take those away, they win. And any team could say that in any given week, but so I think that's the frustration. And I think the fact that they're questioning some of the game plan stuff is definitely concerning, especially this early in the season. But this is a team with a lot of new faces on defense, a lot of new faces on offense. I think they're still getting used to each other. It's problematic that it's taken this long. So I'm not quite ready to say that the locker room's falling apart or anything, but I would say there's definitely some concerns coming out of that game.
Go ahead, Rusty.
I put up on the Jumbotron something that Rich Samini had put out, the snap counts for the defense. And I thought that this game, we would have been trying to rush the passer much more frequently than we did. And it shows on this chart that Jermaine Johnson only played 20 snaps, and Clemens only played 19 snaps for the whole game. And I just don't think that makes a lot of sense if we're trying to go and hurry and sack the quarterback. I mean, Burrows. Stopping him would have made a huge difference. So how do you feel about that, the way that they keep rotating players, but putting preference on the veterans who maybe aren't quite as good as some of these rookies and first-year players?
I get the sense a lot of fans are frustrated with the rotation, and I get it. I don't think they're going to change that, though. Though I will say I still don't entirely understand why Bryce Huff has been inactive every week. Personally, I don't think Jacob Martin's really shown very much. But I don't think it's necessary that they aren't rushing the passer. I think it's just more that they haven't been finishing these rushes. And the one I think Quentin Williams needs to be playing more. I think Nathan Shepard needs to be playing less. They're not going to stop doing the rotation at defensive end. But I agree. Jermaine Johnson has shown a little more than I expected as a pass rusher. So I think they should be trying to get him on the field more on passing downs.
Zach, you sound like you've been watching the Jets for 30 years. That's a great take, because I've been screaming for Bryce Huff. He was the best pass rusher in the preseason. I mean, he got to the quarterback, and even when he was playing last year in limited amount of time, he got to the quarterback. They need that, man. That's a great point. Let me get to Kenny and Terrence.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Listen, I don't want to hear about the defense only gave up 7 points in the second half. They couldn't get off the field. The Bengals had a drive in the third quarter that was like 7 minutes, where it was basically they didn't convert a 4th and 1. But that ate up 7 minutes of the clock, which is a lot. The defense couldn't get off the field. Then in the fourth quarter, they had another drive close to 8 minutes, eating up the clock, where they missed a field goal. Once again, the defense can't get off the field. And if the defense can't get off the field, that means the offense don't have the ball, and you need the ball to score. It was a mess on both sides of the ball. And the other thing is, Quentin Williams, you were a third pick in the draft. You shouldn't be speaking to anybody. Look in the mirror and yell at yourself. You have not lived up to a number 3 overall pick at all. You're playing like an 7th round pick right now. His whole career has been a waste, as far as I'm concerned. The guy's horrible. You never see him make an impact play. He's no Aaron Donald, obviously. You never see him make a play that disrupts the game. He's not a game changer. And on defense, you need those type of players. And with the snap counts being the way they are, maybe we should see more Michael Clemens or Jermaine Johnson, because the other guys ain't doing it. They're not getting to the quarterback. Lawson, last year, out with injury. He's back this year, but nothing. You don't hear his name. And regarding the coach's comments today, saying that they're unlucky with the penalties, unlucky? No, it ain't unlucky. It's just garbage. That's what it is. Garbage. Take accountability. And moving forward with Zach coming in, let's not put Zach on this pedestal that at the end of last year, I'm sick of hearing how good he was the end of last year. He was a game manager at the end of last year. The guy didn't throw for 300 yards and light teams up. Didn't do that. So let's not get false pretenses here that he's going to come in and be the knight in shining armor, because he wasn't it last year. I'm sick of hearing about last year how he didn't turn the ball over. You know why he didn't turn the ball over? Because he's doing 5-yard dump-offs. That's why. And if the Jets lose this Sunday, I mean, basically with Trubisky as quarterback, if they make Trubisky look like Aaron Rodgers, when they come home, I know, Petey, tickets have been sold already. Dolphin fans have bought them up. But now the so-called middle-of-the-road Jet fans, not me, I never sell my tickets, never. But the middle-of-the-road Jet fans, they'll dump their seats. And now you're going to have, instead of 50% Miami fans, you're going to have 60+% Miami fans in the building, and it's going to get ugly. That's all I got to say. And I'm sure a lot of guys in here agree with my takes.
Ken, you know what? The one thing I'm gonna touch on perspective regarding Zach, we understand that he didn't have those type of games last year. And our hope is when he comes back, since the system and the offense was made for him, to be able to improve so much compared to what he did last year. I'm not going to take him being a game manager coming back from an injury. I'm not, because I need to know exactly what I have in a quarterback. But at the same time, we have to give him time to be, to get back the time that he has missed from no practice for the last, 7 weeks. Even him participating last week, to me, that was nothing because he's not in all of the reps in practice. So this week is really what I want to see from him, see how he improves in practice, and then to be able to go into games and making that adjustment. I hear you. We're all frustrated, but if there's one person that I'm going to be patient with, it's Zach Wilson when he comes back. The coaching staff.
No, I'm not patient. You know why? He's been in the league now over a year. All right. I see quarterbacks go in that were hurt. Look at Justin Ebert, Joe Burrow. These guys got hurt, and they came in and didn't miss a beat. They didn't miss a beat. You got a quarterback in Houston, Davis Mills, that was a pick way after Zach. And that guy right now, if I had to flip a coin, I'd take Davis Mills over Zach Wilson.
Kenny.
So I don't want to hear the excuses. He needs time. The NFL is no longer time. Quarterbacks drafted that high are supposed to come in and look like they got the it factor. And he right now doesn't have the it factor. This isn't the 1970s or 80s where a quarterback sits on the bench for 2 to 3 years waiting for the quarterback in front of them to retire. It's a win now league driven by a quarterback. You picked that high in the draft, you better be good.
Yeah, Kenny, let me get to guys. Zach's got a few more minutes, so let me get these questions out for Zach. Terrence, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. Hey, Zach, first, welcome to covering the New York Jet beat. I've been I've been listening to you on Can't Wait, since became
thanks,
a beat
man.
writer. Yeah, so anyway, yeah, I love that team, and just wish you a lot of luck.
Thanks, man.
Yeah. Number one, well, no, I'm not going to say. There's only one question. Sorry about that. You kind of alluded to it in one of the answers, I think, to Ray. DJ Reed made mention of, the miscommunication and perhaps how complicated the defense might be. And Mike, I know I don't want to put you on the spot, but there are calls for Ulbrich, to be gone or at least diminish his role and let Salah take a more hands-on approach. But do you? I guess this defense, is kind of common in the NFL. So I mean, do you think there's a complication, or do you think overall with that? The coaching staff, is not strong with X's and O's and teaching these guys how to play, and that might be part of the reason why, especially with the defense, in the first and even in the Cleveland game, we really didn't stop them. And any idea about how complicated it is for these guys, and maybe that's contributing to why the defense isn't in sync right now.
DJ Reed said something, not DJ Reed, Robert Saleh said something interesting about something DJ said today, where DJ said about how maybe they need to simplify the defense a little bit. And Robert kind of agreed with that. And he said, sometimes they have too many checks on a call. So too many things are on a player's mind. And so they're thinking while they're out there instead of just playing. And that was the first time I've heard him admit something like that. So I feel like some of it is just that they've maybe overcomplicated a defense that has so many new pieces, so many young players. And so that's why you're seeing, the reality is, as Saleh said, there hasn't been as many miscommunications as you would think, but the 3 that have happened have led to touchdowns, and that's a problem, obviously. So I think you might see the defense. I mean, we might not see it with our own eyes, but they might be simplifying it for this next week, these next couple of weeks, until these new guys get comfortable playing with each other, the safeties in the corners and the linebackers in the corners. And then you hope to not see those mistakes happen where, they're giving up a big touchdown, because they just can't really afford those plays. As we talked about earlier, it's been like a play or two here or there that is costing the games. And so a miscommunication like that, this team's not good enough to overcome that. So they can't really have those anymore.
Thanks, Zach.
Hey, Terrence, thank you, Terrence. Zach, one thing that you just touched on, regarding, the scheme and so many checks, when play is called, as a coach, isn't that something that, like, you really try to emphasize and making it simpler for your guys to be able to go out there, at least allow them to do their job first before you make it a complex situation for them to be able to have so many different checks, when a particular call is made?
Yeah, I think that was Salah's point. I think his point was, let's simplify it and get it to where everybody's comfortable in the defense, and then once they're doing that, we start throwing more on their plate, kind of thing.
That should, but this is the thing, and this is why a lot of people are frustrated with them. That's something that should have been handled in-house.
Yeah,
where like the guys are able to do their job for it to not even be an issue. Because obviously, if guys are frustrated, certain things they're not gonna come out and talk about in the media. But for that to be able to come out and to be said, now you have fans that are looking at him and the entire coaching staff on the defensive side and saying these guys just don't know how to do their job. Now, I do think most of it is on Albrecht, because he's the one that's game planning and everything. But I also feel like Salah definitely should have his imprint on it to where he's making it easier for the guys to understand what they need to do and for Albrecht to follow along with that.
Yeah. I mean, they definitely need to figure out what's wrong right now. Clearly, some guys are frustrated. I don't get the sense that in the building they're worried about all of this, like, snowballing and becoming worse and worse. I think they think it's only going to get better. So if it doesn't, then maybe you start hearing about, what sort of changes they can make. But I don't get the sense any major changes are coming yet.
Yeah, Zach, can you just take these last four hands, Zach?
Yeah, sure.
Is that cool? Thanks, man. All right, go ahead, T-Rock. Guys, please just be mindful of Zach's time. Thanks.
That's not pretty. Hey, what's up, Zach?
Hey, what's up, man?
Chilling. Yeah, our fan base is trying not to get crazy and passionate or whatever. So our fan base is very they want things to happen now, and that's just not reality. But I agree with some of your points, and some of my fellow Jet Lounge people are gonna agree, because I've been saying this since the beginning, because of the fact of how preseason has been shortened. A lot of starters have been held back. I was listening to Steve Young today on the Michael K show, and he hit it on the head. Same thing, agreed or whatever. He says a lot of teams are playing sloppy ball, and a lot of teams are there's a lot of miscommunication. There's no execution because they're going through preseason basically right now. You know what I'm saying? Because these teams don't have an identity. They're not gelling yet, and they're getting to know each other, especially a team like the Jets, who have young players and so many new players that have been brought into this team or whatever. They're getting to know each other on the fly. You know what I'm saying? Because before we had so many 4 and 5 preseason, and a lot of these players played, that they're getting to know each other and they're making mistakes on the fly. That's why you're going to see these teams in the 4th and 5th and 6th game start to play better compared to these teams now that they're playing sloppy ball, and you get these teams that are supposed to be good and they're playing bad, and vice versa, because of the fact they're basically going through their preseason now until they get to their 4th or 5th game and they're starting to know and they start to change and they're starting to tinker what works for them. So that's why I do agree with a lot of your points on these guys are still gelling and getting to know each other because they haven't played with each other a lot. The one thing I critique of what I'm seeing is the Jets are playing bad situational ball, and they're getting burned on 3rd down. So I think the situational ball, if it gets better, then I think the Jets have a chance to win, and that's on both sides of the ball.
Yeah, the 3rd down point is that they were brutal on 3rd down in this last game. I think Rich Cimini tweeted this earlier, something like 7 of their 10 touchdowns they've allowed, or 8 of their 10 touchdowns they've allowed to come on 3rd down. They've done better on the other downs, but 3rd down is the money down, I think, is how Salah has described it. So yeah, they need to get better on 3rd down. That's for sure.
Go ahead, Charles.
Hey, I wanted to ask. Okay, so I was looking at SNY the other day. Well, after the game, and Bart Scott and Harrison was talking about not playing Zach this Pittsburgh game because it was so exotic and the blitzes and the way our offensive line is. And he kind of specified that, or he kind of said that Flacco was a little more experienced with handling this type of defense because uh, he's been in this division. How do you feel about, uh, and this is not my take, I just wanted to ask, how do you feel about Zach sitting until after this game and seeing how that works out? What do you think about that?
Yeah, I don't agree with that. I think we saw this last week what Flacco, just because Flacco has played against the defense doesn't mean he's going to play against it well. Is kind of where I'm at. They just need some dynamism on their offense. They haven't really had that at quarterback since Flacco's in there. And I don't know. I just think, it could be bumpy with Zach in the beginning, like, to be honest, like, because he hasn't played in so long, and it didn't look great in the Eagles preseason game. It was one drive, but I think if Zach's healthy, you go with him. I don't think there's any question about it.
All right, guys, 2 more questions. Zach, appreciate all your time. Thanks, man. Let me get to Jose and then Robert. Guys, just try and be quick. Go ahead,
Hi,
Jose.
everyone. Hi, this is a question for Zach. I'm gonna make it real quick. Robert Saleh reminds me kind of like Coach Todd Bowles. He was a defensive coordinator, and he kind of reminds me of him like that. We used it for 4 years, and it didn't improve. But to have Robert Saleh there, and so to have Saleh there for another 4 more years, and for example, if they're gonna play Pittsburgh, then Miami, then the Packers. Because I like Q when they get into that guy's the stats face, I like that fire in them. So it seems like the defense wants to actually play. But if the offense struggle for the next 3 games, do you think that Robert Saleh should become a defensive coordinator and hire an offensive-minded coach? Would you think that Robert Saleh would reconsider that?
So are you asking if Saleh should demote himself? Essentially, is that what you're asking?
Yeah, as a defensive coordinator, and then the judge should hire an offensive-minded coach.
Zach, I can answer that. Jose, that's not going to happen. So let me get to thanks, Jose. Let me get to all right. Let me get to Robert, and then Zach will be finished. Thanks, Zach. Go ahead, Robert.
Hey, what's up, Zach? Great job.
Hey, Robert, how's it going?
Good. Welcome to Beat. Yeah, just a quick question. And do you think that Robert Saleh runs a meritocracy in his locker room? And can you give me some examples? Because I didn't see many upsets in camp, people taking people's jobs and stuff. Thanks. That's my question.
That's a good question. I would say the example of him running a meritocracy would just be the Sauce Gardner, I guess air quotes, battle with Bryce Hall. I don't know that it was a legitimate one. I think they maybe wanted Sauce to believe it was. They wanted Sauce to earn the starting job. I think you're seeing they want Jermaine Johnson to earn getting on the field, and they want these rookie guys to earn their keep, so to speak. Garrett Wilson didn't play a lot week 1. Bryce Hall has steadily got more snaps. So I think that's kind of where you see it playing out, where like the young guys have to earn it. Whereas, I think you're seeing the problem has been more the veteran guys. Obviously, I think that's been the most alarming part. Like the rookies, I feel like have carried this team a little bit, and the veterans have really, shot themselves in the foot a lot.
Is that because they've had to earn it, but the veterans haven't? You think that's going on a little bit?
No, I don't necessarily think that, but I don't know. It's a good question. I just think, a lot of the guys that are starting and the guys that are struggling are guys that look pretty good in camp. Like Jordan Whitehead looked really good in camp, and he's having a tough time. And the problem is a lot of times that there are like options behind them. They don't really have any, like they don't have backup safeties that they really trust. They don't have, backup offensive, like Connor McDermott's their best option right now behind this group. So, I think they're playing the best that they can. They're doing the best they can with the pieces that they have. And the meritocracy comes more in the form of the rookies than anything else.
Thank you, Zach. I appreciate it.
Yep.
Zach, I know you were pressed for time, but really appreciate you coming on, man, and giving us some support. And I know I met you at training camp. You were very nice, and just appreciate the camaraderie and, you giving back to the community.
Yeah, no problem, man. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, Zach, I'll be in touch. Hopefully you can come on, either midway or before Jeff fans start jumping off of bridges.
Sounds good, man.
All right. Thanks, man.
All right, bye.
Thank you, Zach.
That was Zach Rosenblatt of The Athletic. Ray, jump in.
I got one thing to say because I'm going through these Robert Saleh
Ray,
takes. Oh, can you hear me?
can't hear you. All right.
I hear
You
you.
don't, Tanad, you don't hear him?
Can
No,
you hear
I
me,
don't.
PD? I hear
All right,
you.
Tanad, log back out, decline, and then come back in so you get better reception. All right, here he comes.
Yeah, I hear all
Go
of
ahead.
you guys.
Yeah.
Listening to these comments about Saleh saying, "Oh, we're a young defense. It's complicated." There's nothing literally complicated about this defense. We blitz 5th lowest in the entire NFL. Listen to this. The front four have one job: contain the run on the outside and get to the passer. There's nothing crazy about that. Maybe a stunt or two. Go around the defense. That whole young defense thing is complete crap. Joyner's on like his 8th team. Whitehead's on his 2nd contract. Reed's on his 3rd contract. Sauce, yes, he's a rookie. Mosley is a perennial Pro Bowler. Alexander's on his 2nd contract. Quincy Williams, everybody says he's young. He's not young. He's on his 3rd team. What are we talking about with this young defense crap? I mean, we have so much. Our most experience is at the safety position, and that is the position that continuously lets us down. We run to cover 3 more 3% of the time, it seems. The only defense that seemed to slow down Cincinnati the first 2 weeks was cover 2. We ran out of time in that game. It has nothing to do with the young defense. Everything to do with a crappy defensive coordinator and a crappy defensive plan. We saw when we played man what happened. Reed's all over, even though Higgins got a couple nice catches, he's all over him. Sauce was all over Chase. And what do? We get away from it. We stop the pressure. Carl Lawson's got 2 freaking solo tackles in 3 games. That's the big guy we paid for.
But
It has
Ray,
nothing to do with being young.
Ray, if you look at Samini, what he tweeted, Carl Lawson's pressure rate is like top 5 in the NFL. It's insane,
it was that
bro.
in Cincinnati too, and it did absolutely nothing for that defense. He doesn't get home. We heard the same thing with Leonard Williams for years. Oh yeah, he gets a ton of pressures. Yeah, well, at the end of the day, you either get to the quarterback or you don't. Joe Burrow was getting hit a couple of times yesterday. If you don't get there that extra split second faster, it doesn't mean anything in the NFL. These kids are used to having people at their feet. Pressures, I'm so tired of hearing the word pressures. The guy's got a half a sack in 3 games. He's on pace for 3 sacks. But I'm going to hear about the pressures. I'm not coming at you, Petey. I'm just saying in general.
Bro, you can come at me. I just don't get, I just did. And Ray, here's my point. I just don't understand how all of these fans, and I'm not excluding myself because I have expectations too, but you guys think that this shit is just going to be fixed overnight. Like the Jets were the worst roster in history, and now nobody wants patience for Zach. Nobody wants this. They want to win every game. There's no room for error and nothing. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
I think it has more to do with, I'm not expecting results overnight. I'm trying to be realistic. But the facts are we have the 2nd highest paid defensive line in all of football, and we're going to be dead last in sacks again. That's the facts. The coaches are all putting our players in position to be successful.
Ray, my biggest problem, and I'm not even going to go on the defense, like even at halftime, it was 20-9. And you come out, even if you score a field goal, you're down 8 points, you're down 1 score. And they're throwing the ball freaking 35 yards down the field on the first
That's my point. It's coaching.
Like, what are you doing?
And another thing, right? On that, what is it? It was 3rd and 4. And PD, we spoke about earlier when I told you on the phone, I don't understand how Elijah's playing on the outside, but he does not understand when he's close to the boundaries for him to be able to force himself to come back in to have some type of space to be able to catch the ball. You look at a couple of those plays yesterday, they were thrown to the outside, but he didn't have any type of leverage. And, he's right on the sideline, and Awuzie is right with him. You're not doing anything on the sideline. Eli Apple's right with him. If he's not able to get separation from the outside, move him back inside. Garrett Wilson can't play on the outside. We have to find a way to get Elijah Moore going. But
Yep.
the thing that I really wanted to talk about was offensively. To me, that's where the issue is for the most part. The defense, I really feel like, based on talent, the defense can help itself out at times as long as the offense is helping them out. But
the offense did nothing tonight yesterday, and you know it, and just so do I. They did absolutely nothing.
The offense did nothing yesterday.
They did nothing. It's embarrassing. That's embarrassing.
We had many opportunities to, instead of getting a 3, we could have gotten 7. And that literally would have changed and made the game a much closer game.
That Brees Hall drop is huge.
Yeah,
absolutely huge. That was 7.
Even with us going into the first half and scoring 9 points, right?
We're still in the game.
Like, we're still in the game. It's an 11-point deficit. We're still in the game. We come out flat. Joe Flacco's missing guys. Even when the pressure is coming, right? Even if he feels the pressure, he doesn't do anything to try to move around the pocket.
No, tonight, I told you before, he has happy feet. He just starts dancing with his feet. He moves his feet better when he panics because he just starts dancing and he can't move.
Yep.
And he just throws flat-footed and the ball goes nowhere. Like, what are you going to do with that? How could you win like that? And my other point is listen, I know people are going to say it was a fluke that we got lucky, but the Jets scored 31 points in that game. You're going to win if you score 31 points. I don't care if the defense gave up 30. They still won. If you score over 27 to 30 points, you're going to win in the NFL. And the Jets in their 2 losses scored 12 and freaking 9. And everybody's bitching about everything else. Mike LaFleur was terrible yesterday. And I never rip him. He was awful.
Hey, PD, we spoke about this earlier. This is the second time at home. My did flop at home. 2 horrible offensive performances. That should not happen, man. This is why teams come here, and it's basically like, it's not really an away game for them. Because even if the defense is playing decent, the offense is not doing anything at all.
And it doesn't get the crowd motivated. Like, people get so frustrated.
But Petey, we also got to remember too, you can't. The whole left side of the line, not left tackle. That had to be one of the worst left tackle performances I could remember. Because I mean, we saw the highlight. McDermott doesn't even get his hands on the guy.
Right,
not like he's standing still. Go ahead.
Not to cut you off, right? If you watched the game, right? Did you see how many times they had Brees Hall or Michael Carter chip? And they just stopped doing it. They stopped doing it.
I agree. That 4th and 2 play tonight. All of a sudden, we're going to leave him out on an island. You're not going to
put an island.
Why did you bring Uzama in for those situations? You got a solid pass, a blitz pickup guy in Hall. You don't even ship the end. He destroyed us all game long. That's why I keep saying it's got to be so demoralizing. Like, I always say this at work. I feel it applies to everybody in general. Right before we get to Mike, you can have all the talent in the world, but if the people at the helm don't put you in positions in life and in football to succeed, if you don't have the right leadership, you could be, the best realtor, whatever, the best pass rusher, whatever. If you don't have the right guys putting you in positions to succeed, that talent goes to waste. We see it in other, around the league with other teams. We saw it with the Browns for how many years? That's what I feel we're becoming. We are the new Browns.
Yep.
High expectations every offseason. We get sold a bill of goods, and it's the same shit all over again. At least, and I saw something earlier. The guy said, I feel like we're Todd Bowles. Todd Bowles won 10 games his first year. Salah's going to be in year 5 before he hits that. So let's not forget that.
I wouldn't, Ray. All right. Guys, wait. Before I get to the hands, I have a little intro for the show. So,
yeah, you did.
Just give me a second. So, guys, I want to, I didn't want to play the music when Zach was in here, but we're going to open up the Jet Lounge to all the fans until Antoine comes in. And here we go.
Now I don't even want to ask a question.
Hey, Petey, I thought you was from Brooklyn, bro. What's up? What's up with that? I thought you was some.
Don't talk during the end. Don't talk, please.
According to everybody, the ship is sinking. Welcome
And
to the
take
Jet
it on
Lounge.
water, Petey.
I had to do
Oh,
that.
I get it now. I get it now, Petey.
All right. No, I'm not going to play no sad music, bro, like that. Come on, but
The
it's
season
been bad, man.
The season is not over, man. It's 1-2.
The season
So,
is far from over, bro.
Far from over, but we do have to get it together.
Let's get to Mike a lot tonight. I can't hear you now, man. Give me a second.
I hear both of you.
Yeah, I can hear tonight.
All right, Mike, what's up, man? Hey, Mike, by the way, you made a good point. I usually go at it with you, but the other space, you made some interesting things. So props to you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. That's basically what I wanted to say again, because I keep hearing everybody talking about how it's over, basically, and ripping the coaching staff and ripping everything we're doing. I honestly think that if you had told me that we were 1-2 right now before the season started, I'd be happy with that, and I think all of us would be happy with that. So right now, I'm okay with how things are going. I just want to see how Zach's going to be able to handle the O-line being as crappy as it is, because he's going to be running around like crazy. So we'll see what happens, but that's what I'm worried about right now. I think it's going to be rocky at the start, and then maybe he catches his stride later. Again, I agree with everybody. I hope he plays like he did the last 6 games of the season, but at the same time, the O-line was playing a lot better during that time too. I think in the last half of the season, the O-line was ranking pretty high. That's when Fant finally got his stride and everybody was meshing. So just, I think the season's not over, but like hold on tight, because it's going to be rocky at the start, I think, especially Zach just coming from an injury. He didn't really play. I know he did some 7-on-7, but it's not the same as live bullets flying. So that's one of the problems. The second point I want to make is I agree with everybody about the D-line. I don't think they should be switching the D-line as often as they do. It doesn't give them rhythm. Like a lot of times on the D-line, these guys are trying to set up their moves. And the problem is, for example, if Lawson is setting up a certain move that he plans on going to, if you take him out before he gets a chance to do it, then the O-lineman has already reset. He doesn't remember what Lawson has done before. So I think that messes with the rhythm, and I really want to see them in longer. Leave them in for a series, then switch them the next series, but don't switch them first down and second down and third down like they're doing. That's irritating.
And Mike, I'm gonna touch on your
Thanks,
first
Mike.
that when you look at the offense, the way that they've performed so far, like you said, if somebody would have told me that we're gonna be 1-2 going into week 4, I would have taken that. Even with the win last week, but you look at the 2 performances at home, those are 2 performances that if they would have performed better, they would have been much closer games, and we would have been right in the thick of it to be able to have an opportunity to win. So I'll take 1-2 right now. And week 4, we're playing a team that, JJ Watt is out. And for whatever reason, we seem to play much better offensively on the road. So let's hope that they keep that going moving forward. So that's really it. Let's go to Tony real quick. We're gonna go to Tony and then go to Logan. What's up, Tony?
Hey, Tanada, you guys, how are you doing? Petey, I was mad about the Jets, but now I'm also mad that you played that music because it just reminded me of Rose at the end, not letting Leonardo DiCaprio on that giant door and her ass just not moving her fat ass over and watching him freeze to death in the water. You telling me you love that guy, and then you're just going to let him freeze like a popsicle in this ice cold water and die in front of you? Give me a break. So I always make sure, hey, fellas, just, make sure with the women, just ask them that question. If you were on a floating door, would you at least take turns? It's a simple question to ask. But like I said,
Wait, Tony,
They
Tony,
need the
hold.
defense to rotate like
Yeah,
that at the door.
1 second, Tony. I'm gonna make Big T-Rock a co-host, an
I was about to
honorary
say,
co-host of the Jet Lounge. All right, T-Rock, you're getting your wish, but T-Rock, you cannot abuse your privilege up here as the co-host. So accept the invite. I'm messing with you. All
With great
good.
power comes great responsibility, my friend.
There you go. Accept it, brother.
All right, I'm gonna keep going.
Go ahead, Tony. Sorry about that.
Congrats on the come up, Big T.
Thank you.
But as far as the Jets, listen, I was his biggest supporter because I thought he was going to really come in here and do something. So far this year, Jordan Whitehead has absolutely done nothing. Whitehead has been a liability. All 3 games, absolute liability. The most recent one was the Tyler Boyd touchdown, where he bounced off him like a beach ball. Come on, dude, you got to do something. Where's the Tampa Bay Whitehead that was the ball hawk? Where's the Tampa Bay Whitehead that's coming up the field, knocking people down, getting things done? I don't know where he is. I don't know if it's a communication issue. I know that listen, Petey, I'm like you. I'm not jumping off the boat yet. I know that we have 4 new people in the back as far as our secondary is concerned. We have 4. They're all new. And they're all trying to communicate, and they're getting frustrated. And DJ's obviously the most frustrated. And at first I was mad about Salah saying, "Oh yeah, DJ, that happens on every team, and there were breakdowns in this." But he was just putting a fire out. But that's my question with Whitehead. I just think out of the 4 guys that we have back there, he's the one underperforming the most. I'm not going to really get into Joyner because Joyner's old as crap. I'm not really sure. It just is a testament to how awful Ashton Davis must be. But as far as and then my second thing, and this is my last point.
Tony, hold on. Before you even go into the second point, don't lose that second thought. Okay, I'm gonna touch up on that first one. Joyner should not be on the field as much as he has, regardless of how bad Whitehead has performed. Joyner has been on the field way too much. Some of these younger guys can definitely do better. Their speed, their ability to be able to read certain plays, they can definitely close out on a lot of plays. Joyner has been non-existent, literally. At least like for Whitehead, I've seen him, make a couple plays in the running game. It has been a struggle in the passing game, but Joyner should not be playing as much. They need to stop this. He's a veteran. He's this and that. The guy has been hurt the last couple of years. He's barely played, and he needs to be playing way less than that. There's no reason for him yesterday to play all 68 snaps or whatever it was. That should not happen at all. Go ahead, continue.
Yeah, no, absolutely right. And I think I'm just more frustrated with Whitehead because of the price tag, whereas Joyner, he goes back to like the Greg Williams Bounty Gate days. So he's like pretty much ancient at this point, which I agree. You might want to take a look at him and be like, maybe, let's see what a young kid can do then. Because if all Joyner's going to do is run around and get us these that hit he had on Higgins with the head-to-head, I'm like, if that's all you're going to do and you're going to, still act like Greg Williams is like paying you on the side, then just get off the field. But, I just wanted to talk about the tight end situation. I don't know if anybody has an idea what we're doing there. I don't know what the story is. Maybe it's because we got behind that we just abandoned it. But this rotation with like Uzama and then just like pretty much giving up on Ruckert, I thought this was going to be a whole use check, project H-back thing that we were going to do with them. And I don't know if that's either thrown out the window or it just didn't fit LaFleur's game plan. But I mean, I thought that we had a solid plan coming into the season at tight end, and I feel like either we abandoned it. I know Uzama was hurt, but I mean, what are we doing there? And that's just my question. And if Uzama is hurt or if he's not there, then play Ruckert. Then just and let's keep Conklin the starter. I get it, but that's just another question. And like I said, Petey, don't believe the hype. A lot of people are waking up on Monday, complaining, and then by the middle of the week when they see Zach practice, then everybody's going to shut up again. It's the circle of life. So we'll go from there. But yeah, that's all I got.
Yeah, Tony, just to go off of what you said, I honestly think I know people are going to say Conklin's been a disappointment, and to a degree he has been in some aspect. But I think with Zach back, I do think that Conklin will be better because Zach can move. Conklin will move with him. The receivers, even if they do a rollout and Zach's running to the right, Garrett Wilson and Elijah Moore can drag with him to the sideline. So I think it's going to help a lot because I just think they're very limited, man, with Flacco, and you can't run this off, but you can run it with it, but I just think it's not suited for Flacco, even though he did win a game.
Oh,
So
Pete, I 100% agree with you. I think this whole offense gets flipped on its head when you have a quarterback that can move like Zach. I think the frustrating thing is, well, if you got somebody if an immobile quarterback like Flacco, like, why are you keeping him on the field then? If, like, I don't know. I'm not going to get into it. It's only going to make me mad. You guys can move on to the next guy.
Tony, thanks for coming on.
Thank you, Tony. But
hey, happy to be
here. Let me touch.
Guys, let me just say one thing, not about that. Guys, if you get dropped down, you'll come back up. We're going to have another reporter on Antoine Staley once halftime at a Giant game. And if you get rotated, don't take it personal. I'm not just moving you down to do it, or Big T or Tanad isn't. Just, we need to get people up. So continue, Tanad.
Yeah, so what I wanted to touch on was on the tight end situation. To me, I just feel like regardless of what system that you have, regardless of the quarterback that you have, Flacco should be able to look for his tight ends. He has the weapons. He should be looking for them to be able to play that middle of the field. You can't be throwing the ball outside the hash marks to your receivers or in between to only your receivers. Your tight ends, you have to find ways to be able to get them the ball in the middle of the field. And if it's a scheme thing to where LaFleur, the routes that they're running is taking them outside the hash marks instead of in the middle of the field, then that means that he's not doing a good job of using them to be able to put them in a situation to where the quarterback can actually have options throughout the entire field instead of just outside the hash marks. So I'm not sure what's going on with it, and they definitely should be playing Ruckert more. Uzama came back from an injury yesterday. He had one catch for 5-6 yards. He was paid a lot of money, so we have to find ways to use these guys, him and Conklin. Conklin had a decent game last week, even with the fumble, but offensively, they just have to find a better scheme to just involve these guys, because if they weren't able to do it when Zach when Zach wasn't playing, now we're expecting it from Zach based on the talent that he has in him being able to keep plays alive. But he needs to be able to make those plays in the pocket as well. And I think the tight ends will definitely help him out throughout the entire field if he's able to do that.
Hey, Tanad, let's go to hands. Let's go to hands.
Go ahead, Mark. What's going on, Mark?
Hey, what's up, Pete? Tanad? Look at Big T. Already flexed the co-host muscles. How about it?
Mr. Torres, what's up?
How we doing? We've been talking Jets all day. I want to come up and support and just share, two ideas, two quick ones. The first one is that look, the point of if the Jets had started the season 2-2, a lot of us were thinking they'd be playing meaningful games in December. So the fact that they've got one win, broke the September curse, that's good news. But here's the thing. My goal for the season hasn't changed. We need to see Zach Wilson on the field and see if he's the guy. That's the 30,000-foot view of this football team. So in my eyes, the season starts when Zach starts. I want to see what this team really is supposed to look like. This is constructed around him. The offense is. The additions are. The coaching staff is. It's all constructed around him. And then my last point is that, I think we're entering, I mentioned this earlier, we're entering a new kind of angry as Jets fans, because now it's not, we don't have any talent. We have nobody on the field. And how can you compete with these high-flying offenses with top-tier talent? That's not the issue now. Now the issue is we have top-tier talent on the field. Garrett Wilson, Breece Hall, Michael Carter. We got guys now. Sauce. We got guys. But now it's the coaching staff. Can they figure it out and put it all together? So if anything, it makes me angrier because I look at week 1 and week 3 and I'm like, these are winnable games. So
exactly, Mark.
Anyway, that's my point. Thanks.
Let me get in there quick, T. Hey, Mark. I was listening to Michael Kay and Steve Young was speaking, and Steve Young said it. At this point, by 4 games, you either want to be 3-1 or 2-2. at worst, and you're still in the ball game. So if the Jets, for some reason, be able to make it 2-2, we're exactly where we need to be. If Zach was to win that game, because trust me, if Zach wins that game and we play well, trust me, it's a whole different tune. Zach is Joe Namath. No, it's going to be Joe Namath if he performs or whatever the way our fan base is. And if Zach plays horrible, then Zach needs to be benched and bring in freaking Scheffler. That's exactly what's going to happen.
It's Big T. Don't even get into that, man. But
yeah, man, please.
Let's go real quick. Let's go to Joe. We're gonna go to Joe. What's going on, Joe? What's up? Talk to us.
Nah, T-Rock, PD, how's it going?
Joe
Hey,
is
what's up, Joe?
Joe is fired up this morning. Let's go, Joe.
Man, I'm gonna come in a little bit more mellow today because I got something that it just dawned on me maybe about an hour ago. The team brought in Greg Knapp to be the offensive special assistant, and they've really never replaced him in any capacity. So we're basically now dealing with a second-year head coach, and second-year coaching staff. That everyone's still kind of learning on the job, and it's actually a mystery to me why this team doesn't have special assistants on offense and defense. So a little bit of an anecdote. When I was in Tampa, Greg Schiano was a first-time head coach with the Buccaneers. Well, he did two things. He brought in Dave Wannstedt as his special teams coordinator, and he also had a special assistant to the head coach in Butch Davis, who we remember was the head coach of the Browns for many years. Regardless of how they performed, they had head coaching experience, and they were somebody that Schiano could lean on. Schiano failed for reasons other than X's and O's that I won't get into, but there are so many former head coaches that Saleh has worked with, and I'm just wondering why hasn't the team brought them in? I look at a team like the Rams that just came off a Super Bowl, and what does Sean McVay do? Yeah, it's his buddy, but he goes and gets Jay Gruden a special assistant job with the Rams. There's three names that come up to me that Saleh has worked with, and I'm like, why are they not on the team? It could be Gary Kubiak, Mike Sherman, and Vic Fangio. Even if you just bring them in for the year, it's guys with experience that this coaching staff clearly needs to lean on right now. Just a second pair of eyes to evaluate you and go, hey, like Tanad was bringing up earlier. Hey, Mike, you should have you abandoned the run a little too quickly here, or at this point, you should have left you should have gone to 21 personnel and had Uzama in helping out your left tackle, or you should have shortened the routes here. It's just that wisdom that these guys can lean on, they don't have it right now.
It's a good point, Joe. Joe, hang on to that thought because I want to just bring up Antoine. Antoine is here. Antoine Staley from the Daily News. Antoine, how you doing, man? Thanks for coming up.
I'm good. How are you?
I'm a lot better than most Jeff fans. I actually had to go to a wedding yesterday, and I enjoyed it, but it was hard not being at the game. But I'm kind of glad I missed it. Now I watched it on TV, but it was weird for me. But I'm doing all right, man. It's pandemonium in New Jersey and New York, man.
I mean, yes, another tough loss, but I'm not surprised that they lost. I mean, the Bengals were kind of desperate. I mean, I didn't really see them starting 0-3, but at the same time, yeah, you just hope for, more progress, especially with the offense. It was another abysmal performance, sort of like the Ravens game, really. So, yeah, you just have to hope that Zach Wilson comes back this week and, hopefully injects some kind of energy in this team.
Yeah, Antoine, the biggest problem I had, I know Moore didn't catch that one. I mean, Antoine, you and I could have walked in on Breece Hall's touchdown if Flacco Paul should have still caught it, but he had nothing but green in front of him. The biggest thing I had was when they were down by 11 coming out the gate, and they went aggressive and threw like a 35-yard pass. Like, right out the gate, I get it. You want to try and catch them, but it just didn't make sense to me. Just get back in the game, even play for a field goal, get it to a one-score game, get the crowd back into it. I just didn't like LaFleur's game plan. I'm not
Yeah,
asking you to bash the guy, but I just thought he was very inconsistent yesterday.
yeah. I just feel like throwing the ball that many times is just not the, recipe for success. I think I said that, the rest of the Ravens game. I kind of said it last week. I get it, part of it, because you're down and you have to throw the ball at a certain point. You can't just run the ball, especially when you're down double digits. But having the most of passing attempts in the league after 3 weeks, especially with a guy that's 37 years old and, been your backup quarterback yet. I just don't think that's going to get the job done there. You just need to rely on your running game. And yeah, I know, I get the running game wasn't, as good as what it had been the first couple of weeks, but you still have to keep defenses honest and just try to commit to it.
Got co-host, you got anything? Then we'll get to hands.
What's going on, Antoine?
Hey, how you doing?
Hey, what's going on, Antoine?
Hey, what's up?
So my question is, based on the game plan that you saw yesterday, how do you see LaFleur making that adjustment when it's Zach that's under center on a week-to-week basis? How do you see that working out? Do you think that the game plan that he has put together within the first 3 weeks, if Zach was playing, do you think the game plan would be the same thing? And how do you see Zach performing in, within those games? And also, when you look at the O-line yesterday, once the injury happened, they stopped chipping and sending help over there. Once they put McDermott in there, it was basically barbecue chicken for Trey Hendrickson. What do you think they could do to be able to improve that? If you can answer those two questions, please.
Hey, you asked me like 3 questions. I guess I'll get with the first one. I think the game plan will be different if Zach is in there, because I feel like they just, with Flacco, he's a bit of a sit and dump back there at times, so he just kind of dinks and dunk at times, where Zach can at least move around. So yeah, I think the game plan will be different. Like, what do I expect from Zach when he comes back? That I don't know. I mean, we barely saw him in the preseason, and like, I wasn't there when he was at training camp. He had gotten hurt like the week, his first preseason game. So I really don't know what to expect. You just hope that, he can, open up the offense a little bit more and then cut down on some of the turnovers that you saw from last year. And then the third about the offensive line. Yeah, that might be in trouble, especially with Fant. It seems like he might be out for a week. It might be better to keep him out for a week, because, the knee injuries was already lingering anyway. And then he was having to take a Veterans Day off this early on in the season. And then, of course, the knee injury, suffering one yesterday. And then Salah said it's going to be day to day, but, I think it might be best in order just to keep him out for possibly a week, although, his offensive line is already in shambles. You already have Dwight Brown out, who can't come out for IR until after this week. And, if Fant's out, and then now it's just like musical chairs, like a makeshift offensive line. So, yeah, it's definitely not ideal situation there. And they're going to have to try to manage it, I guess, the best way that they can.
Antoine, I know it's a different subject. T-Rock, I'll get to you, but is the butt punt worse than the butt fumble, even though the Miami Dolphins won?
Nah, Dolphins won.
I had to ask you that.
Dolphins won. I mean, it was just funny.
I might disagree on that one.
I mean, it's funny. I think it's funnier, to be honest with you. But I feel like people will always remember the butt fumble. Like the butt punt, yeah, you may or may not remember that, but the Dolphins won at the end of the day. So I don't think it's worse than the butt fumble, at least to me.
Yeah, no,
fair enough.
Go ahead, Big T.
Hey, Antoine.
Hey.
Due to the fact that the line, obviously, it's crazy that actually around the league, a lot of people are losing their linemen. The Jets just signed the veteran Mike Rimmers,
yes,
and they put him in the practice squad. So obviously that's an upgrade from Connor McDermott. How fast can you think he could be implemented so he can play that spot until hopefully Dwayne Brown comes back or whatever? You think he needs to be there more than a week? What do you think? How fast you think he can get implemented?
That I'm not sure, but I think he's going to play. He's probably going to play this week because I don't know if I have the confidence that George Fent will play on Sunday, especially considering he suffered that injury and he was already a issue anyway.
Yeah,
So,
no, you're talking about Fant. No, Fant is out. I think according to Salah, I heard him. I think McDermott's
no,
starting at left tackle.
well, hold on. I was on the Zoom today. He said he said it was day to day. He didn't say he wouldn't start. He just said that it's a chance that he may not play on
Okay.
Sunday. Yeah,
Okay.
so it's not nothing official or anything like that. So yeah, that's exactly what Salah said. But yeah, I would tend to lean towards him not playing on Sunday.
Yeah. Guys, we got 8 hands up, so I know Antoine's pressed for time. So I'm gonna go Anthony and then keep it moving to Terrence and Eric. Guys, just hang in there with your hands up. Anthony, go ahead.
Go to them first, PD. I just got up. Go to Terrence and these guys. I'll wait.
Just got up, man. Some life. Let me get to Logan.
No, I mean I just got up here.
Oh, my bad. I thought you were sleeping in. Logan, go ahead.
Hey, what's up, fellas? First time, long time.
What's up, Logan?
I think I'm not as worried about the offensive line, I think, as everyone else is. I think a big part of it is just having a quarterback who can't even, it's not even that we need him to run, but he's not even like stepping up in the pocket and like avoiding that first kind of hand, first pass rusher getting there. I think Zach's going to do much better with that. So, it hasn't been great, but I'm not too worried there. I guess my question for Antoine is I've been very confused with the routes that they have Elijah Moore running. I feel like as a rookie, he was beating people inside all game long. The slants, I mean, my God, it felt like every game he had a 15, 20, and then obviously like the 70-yarder. Just simple slants. And now, I haven't seen him do anything other than just like running down the field, especially yesterday. So just kind of curious if that's been a topic of conversation at all.
That has not, but I actually thought about that. I mean, really, he hasn't really been separating himself from receivers. So I don't know if it's the routes they are calling for him or just the fact that he's just not gaining the separation. Probably a combination of both. The truth's always like in the middle of it. But yeah, I just feel like I really came into the year thinking he was going to have a big year for the Jets too and needed to. And, so far, through 3 games, I mean, he did a little bit of things in the Browns game, but outside of that, it's been, very quiet. I know Flacco tried to throw the ball to him and he got intercepted yesterday. So yeah, I mean, you gotta be able to find some way to get him the ball a little bit more. I know it's easy when Flacco was in there, he was relying a lot on Garrett Wilson, and deservedly so. I mean, he's been the best receiver the Jets had so far this year. But I feel like Elijah Wilson is Elijah Moore is also a weapon that the Jets need to be using on a consistent basis as well.
That was a great question, but that's one of the things that we were talking about before you came on in. But I'm not gonna stay on that. Let's go to the hands. Let's go to Jets for life, and then we're gonna go to Kenny after that. What's going on?
All right, so I hear a lot of well, probably about 30-40%, probably half really, putting a lot of emphasis on Zach coming in. I'm kind of excited about it too, but my expectations for him are fairly low going against this defense because it's a very complicated defense to read, and they have a lot of spoken mirrors and blitzes and all that other stuff. What are your expectations for Zach this upcoming game due to the defense and how desperate Tomlin is to get a win this Sunday?
Yeah, I think it'll be a low scoring game, basically. I don't know if any team is going to necessarily pull away. So I think, obviously the Steelers have had their own struggles offensively as well with Mitchell Trubisky. But yeah, as far as Zach Wilson, yeah, the Steelers like to bring the pressure all the time, and obviously with the Jets offensive line, in the state that it is, I definitely think they're going to turn up the heat even more, and also with a guy that's starting his first game of the year. So they're going to hopefully he's going to make mistakes throughout the course of the game. So yeah, Zach's just going to have to be smart about it. Try not to do too much and throw the ball down the field when it's not there. It's okay to just take like a 5-yard checkoff play too at times, especially when you have a team like that that's very aggressive like the Steelers are.
And are you scared of the? I'm a little scared. I'm just gonna tell you, I'm a little scared for the knee. How you feel about that? Do you think? I mean, I know you're not the Lord Almighty, but
Yeah, I'm
it
not a
seems like
doctor.
yeah, it just I'm a little scared with the knee, especially with our offensive line and him coming in feeling like he has to just be the all end all be all. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, at some point you got to just play. I mean, I know people are like nervous and saying, "Well, maybe this is the week to bring Zach back." Well, what is? I mean, you got the Dolphins after that, Green Bay, Denver. I mean, at some point, I mean, you're just gonna have to throw him out there, and then he's just gonna have to try to swim. I mean, it's the league. I mean, it's gonna be tough. You're gonna have the Jets have a tough schedule the first half of the year. At some point, you can't just not, play him. You're gonna have to you need to see what you have in him. You made an investment in him and number 2 overall. So yeah, I mean, obviously you worry about the knee, especially considering he had an injury last year that knocked him out a few games. But at the end of the day, I mean, you need some kind of boost on offense, and we know what Joe Flacco is. I'm not blaming him for all the issues on the offensive end, but I definitely think they need a change at the quarterback position, and I definitely think it's time for Zach Wilson to come in and see what he can do.
I just want to say I appreciate it. These are people I wouldn't probably ever talk to if it wasn't for the lounge. Thank you so much. I so much appreciate it. Y'all made my day. On to the next.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you.
Antoine's the man.
On to the Steelers, baby.
Yeah, I don't know if you're watching, but Lawrence is just destroying the rookie.
Well, both of them are Lawrence and Parsons.
Yeah.
Yeah, Evan Neal, yeah.
Yeah,
he's struggling too. Guys,
Giants can't do nothing.
I know Antoine loves his Monday Night Football, so let's continue. Kenny's
No,
next.
I'll answer. You know what? I'm gonna answer all everybody's question because I'm here. So you know what? Let's just go ahead and do it.
Thanks, Antoine.
Yeah.
What's going on, Antoine? Always a pleasure.
Hey, what's going on?
So my question is, you're watching that game yesterday, early third quarter. In the back of your mind, Mike White had success against the Bengals last year. I think if you bring him in the game, he's a little more mobile. He could escape the rush, and he would have energized the crowd. You get the crowd into the game, which hopefully would have swung the momentum, but the Jets never pulled. Could you hear me? I got knocked off for a second.
You got a call.
Yeah. So the Jets, they didn't pull the trigger on putting Mike White in to try to, Mike White's not the future, but the NFL, you're here to win games. You had to do something there to spark the team. So with that, I know you got a lot of hands up, and that's my only question. Did it come across? Do you have it in the back of your mind where you're thinking, hey, are they going to go to Mike White to spark this offense?
Well, after seeing week 1, and no, I knew that wasn't going to be the case because I figured if that was going to happen, it would have happened against the Ravens when the fans were chanting for Mike White. And then Flacco won, week 2 against the Browns. So at that point, it's kind of like, okay, yeah, they're not going to change quarterbacks. You're just going to stick with Flacco until Zach Wilson is healthy. So no, I didn't think about it yesterday. I know a lot of fans were chanting for Mike White to come into the game. But yeah, if it didn't happen against the Ravens and the way the game was going, I knew it wasn't going to happen against the Bengals either.
Hey, Antoine, do you think it's possible that they move Max Mitchell, or no, they'll just leave him where he is? Because he's been pretty good.
I don't know if you want. I mean, I think you just leave him where he is. I mean, do you want to create another issue? Like, do you want to move him and then possibly create 2 issues, or just leave him where he is and where he's been successful, and then just have that potential,
Yeah, I'm just asking because a lot of fans have been impressed with and rightfully so with his play.
Oh yeah, I've been impressed too. I think he's done a really good job considering the circumstances and where he was drafted and everything like that. So yeah, I definitely think, in a roundabout way. I mean, obviously you don't want Dwayne Brown to get hurt, but I definitely think that having him play and throwing in the fire was the best thing that happened to the Jets.
Yeah, let's get to Man Up, and then Terrence, and then Anthony. Hey, what's up, man?
Hey, Petey, how are you, man? Can you hear me?
Yes. Hey, how are you?
What's up, guys? Hey, big team. What's going on tonight? Hey, Antoine, how are you, man?
I'm good. How are you?
What's going on?
Doing good, man. I need you to ask a question the next time you're in that room, or you're on a Zoom, or you're at the end of the game. I don't know if if every Jet fan feels the same way, but I'm getting sick and tired of watching for years. It's not just this season; it's every single season. Every time we're down, these guys are walking around like they got nowhere to go. There's no huddle going on. They're constantly in a huddle. In the fourth quarter, you're down by 2 scores, and they're walking around after they run a play. Everybody's walking to the huddle. I can't understand. I've coached football. I played football. I coached baseball my whole life. There's no sense of urgency. It is disgusting to watch. You sit and watch every team in the NFL. When guys are down, you got a 45-year-old man and Tom Brady, and they get up to the line and they're calling the plays, and telling everybody where to go. We just don't do that. I can't understand. And why isn't a coach asked that question after every time? Even the last 4 Jet head coaches. No, I never heard anybody in the media say, what is wrong with your team and your coaching staff? How come nobody pushes the issue on sense of urgency? Get your ass down the field. You're walking around like the laziness that kills you as a coach. To watch that, as a fan, to watch that, it's very aggravating and disgusting to watch.
Yeah, I think it kind of goes back to some of the mental errors and the lack of leadership and communication issues that they've had. Basically, I mean, we saw it yesterday with all the errors that they had, whether it be personal foul calls, drop passes, turnovers, missed assignments, and some. I mean, I'm not saying that would rectify some of all the issues, quite frankly, but it would definitely. I think it couldn't hurt in certain instances too, as well. But yeah, I mean, I definitely understand your frustration, especially when you feel like this is kind of the same old story. And I know a lot of the players have said, this is a different Jets team. It's not the same old Jets, but a lot of fans feel that way, and deservedly so, especially when you put out product like you did yesterday.
It's like the same, like you said, it's the same thing. And you're watching this, and how come? I mean, even as a coaching staff, you don't see what's in front of your face. That the guys are walking. That's pure laziness. You know what? If you don't want to play, get off the field. I'm sure there's guys on the bench don't want to get out there and run up to that line and try to get a play. My whole theory is if you're getting up that line, you're going no huddle. You're catching the defense off guard. Why are you giving them a chance to get and set up and get into their zones and their blitzes and get a play off? Meanwhile, you're sitting there like you got nowhere to go. I don't understand it. There's no sense of it. There's no push. There's no drive. There's no nothing. And then you have a head coach that claims he's got all this fire in his belly. I haven't seen shit. The most excited I've ever seen him get was last week when they won the game at the end of the game. That's the most excitement I've ever seen out of this guy.
I mean, yeah, you have every bit of right to be upset. So yeah, I definitely understand. Like especially, like I say, especially watching the first game, and then definitely this one for sure.
And it's called accountability, right?
Yeah.
There is none. There is absolutely none. It's ridiculous. Well, thanks for coming on, Antoine. We appreciate you. Much love to you guys. Pete,
much love to
great
you too,
job.
man.
Thanks,
Pete,
man.
Tonight, all you guys. I appreciate it.
you.
Good job.
Appreciate you, man.
No doubt, John. Thanks. Terrence, go ahead. Then Anthony. Then Kyle.
Yeah, thanks. Hey, Antoine. Great talking to you
Hey,
again.
how you doing?
Okay, good. Hey, there seems to, some of the consensus, from the fans on here seems to be that there's too much rotation, on the defensive line and also at the running back position. Now, my understanding is that Breece Hall finally got like maybe 2 more snaps over Carter this game. I don't know if you think the trend is for them to do that to the point where Breece Hall is getting, maybe 60% of the snaps. Because I'm just wondering if Michael Carter is more effective in, I wouldn't say a limited role, but maybe with a certain amount of touches every game, using him in the right spots, still getting 40% or so of the snaps. but it just seems like a lot of the fans feel overall that that there's not enough continuity. There's not enough flow because people are being shuttled in and out all the time. It's like almost like they have too many players out of position. And isn't there something to be said for I know it's not really the Solskjaer philosophy, but isn't it something to be said for like if you're a starter that you should be getting like X amount of snaps over who's the second string? And I mean yeah, there's times for a blow, maybe a possession or something to switch them out, but it just seems like there's too much shuttling. And I'm just wondering if that has anything to do with the inefficiency on both offense and sometimes on defense, where there's no stops, which seems to have been a problem, early on in the game against Cincinnati, where we couldn't stop them that much.
Well, let's talk about the running back situation. Yeah, I kind of agree with you. I mean, that's the setup Michael Carter had at UNC in North Carolina, where Javonte Williams was also there too, and they split carries, and he got they kind of played the high hand. They kind of played off each other. So I guess the Jets are trying to do something similar with Carter. Yeah, just to kind of have him fresh, as well as have a Breece Hall too as well. So yeah, I definitely think that's kind of their line of thinking in terms of kind of what you said about the starters and playing a certain amount of snaps. I kind of agree with you in a way, because I feel like some of those starters, especially on the defensive end, don't play enough. I know people are kind of clamoring for Quentin Williams to play a little bit more snaps too, and we kind of saw how effective he was yesterday, especially after the whole blow up on the sideline where he had a little fire there with the defensive line coach. But yeah, I mean, he played that's as well as he's played all year, and you definitely if the guy's playing that well, then why take him off the field? So yeah, I definitely think there's something to be said for at times keeping your starters in there. I know you have a defensive line where you're paying a lot of people a lot of money, and you feel like you have a lot of players that can contribute. But also, if a guy's playing well, then don't take him out. Just ride the high hand.
Yeah, thanks. Anthony, go ahead.
What's up, Antoine? Petey, Tanaj?
Hey, how you doing?
What's up, brother? What's going on? Antoine, I know you said I hear what you're saying about being trailing when we from the run when we're down. But to me, the first game it was 10-3 into the third quarter. Yesterday we go into the game with 29 at the half with the ball. You go down and score a touchdown. It's listed on the touchdown game. I hear LaFleur saying it. Flacco can't throw the ball this many times. The next game it's 44. Yesterday it's 52. The guy's averaging almost 52 pass attempts. He's on record to shatter the pass attempt records if he stood this way. My problem is with them is that the same things are continuing. They know what the problem is. Like I hear LaFleur saying we can't throw that much. I get when you're down, 28-7. To me, 20-9, the game's not out of hand. You got the ball. It's a one-possession game. And I see the same things happening in the red zone defense where the corner and the safety, they're not seeing the assignment. Last week against Cleveland, it seemed like, Petey, I was right next to you. I'm like, these guys have no idea what they're doing. They got to call a timeout. And they leave Amari Cooper open. Yesterday, they don't know what they're doing. It seems like, again, they leave Jamar Chase open. So my thing is the coaches see this. They have to help these young players. Are they not seeing it? Because I'm seeing it on TV. I don't know how they're not seeing this. If they want to talk about being unlucky, to me, that's like, it's starting to become honestly insulting as fans, because I'm seeing problems that aren't being fixed. You had the perfect out by winning that Cleveland game somehow to have the fans forget about the problems that happened because we won and we just wanted to win. So I don't know what the coaching staff is thinking. Are they not seeing are they being asked these questions about the same things happening every game?
We do. We asked them the same thing, and then I mean, it's documented that we've asked what do you do about the mental mistakes? They've been constantly, week one, same thing, kind of shooting yourself in the foot. week 3, same thing, shooting yourselves in the foot. And then Robert Saleh said, but quite frankly, it's not really this, the young guys, it's really the veterans that are making mistakes. So I think, I don't know what you do. I mean, he really didn't provide like a solution, like other than like a vague answer to it. So I don't know what they plan on doing to kind of rectify some of these mistakes, but they're just becoming the same thing. It's the same story all over again. Like I say, I felt like, yesterday was very much similar to what it was week 1. It was the same thing, mental mistakes, just pretty much killed them, and them throwing the ball, a million gazillion times and trying to come back. And yeah, I get they've only been up. I agree with you. They've only been up 25 seconds this season, and which is crazy to think about. But yeah, you still have to be able to commit to running the football at times. I don't think, any quarterback in the league needs to be throwing, 52, 53 times a game. Especially not Joe Flacco, to be quite honest with you. So yeah, I definitely think you need to have some type of balance and to be able to, run the football effectively and commit to that.
Let's get to 3 more, Antoine. Kyle, go ahead.
Hey, everybody. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Hey, Antoine, thank you for taking the time to talk to all of us and answer all of our questions.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, I got 2 brief questions, and one is based off of what Anthony was saying about the insane amount of pass attempts each game, right? So as a former offensive lineman, it is super difficult when the defense knows what you're going to do every play. And when that is pass, I mean, for a bad offensive line, you're just making things worse, right? Because they can predict exactly what you're going to do. And for a guy like, McDermott or an injured Fant, you're just, again, shooting yourself in the foot. And when you have a guy like AVT, who's been, I don't know what the stat is, but he's been outstanding in run blocking. I mean, not that you have the answer to this, but do you think that they're going to start to balance the pass and run here at any time? I mean, you got 2 stellar backs in Carter and Hall, and we just haven't seen them, run the ball that much.
I would hope so. I think I've been clamoring. I've been saying that. I think I wrote an article last week about running. They were talking about running the ball and how I think they need to run the ball a lot more. So yeah, I agree with you. Like, I think, the way, I don't know if it's Zach Wilson or Joe Flacco or Mike, whoever, Joe Smo back there, you need to be able to have some type of balance. And I feel like their running backs are a strength of the team, especially, you have a Breece Hall. I know he's young, but I'm all about, young running backs, just ride them till the wheels go off. And I feel like he's a guy that, had a lot of success at Iowa State in catching the ball out the backfield and also running, ride him out. I definitely think he has 1,000-yard capability there. And then also have Michael Carter. We saw what he did in week 1 against the Baltimore Ravens. Ride him too as well. I mean, I definitely think you need to lean more on the running game, especially, and considering the quarterback situation and also the offensive line as well. So yeah, I'm with you 100% there. Hopefully they can, try to find that balance, maybe especially when Zach Wilson comes back. What were you gonna ask?
I was just gonna just build off that because like even with the D-backs, they're gonna drop back and play like prevent defense every time, because they have no concern with us rushing the ball. It's insane. But my second part of the question real quick is what's going on with Bryce Huff, right? So all summer we hear that he's, getting to the quarterback, he's having some good rushes and he's, pressuring the quarterback, and then nothing. And then he's inactive. And for a team that can't get any pressure, it just seems kind of counterintuitive to make him inactive every week. I'm sure that they can, trim the roster with their, bench somebody else just for the sake of trying something different, something new. Because even last year, the dude's quick off the ball.
Yeah, I think it was I want to say it was Zach. Y'all had him on earlier. He said that he thought Bryce Huff might have 10 sacks this year. I mean, it's kind of hard to have 10 sacks when you're inactive, but yeah, I mean, I think everybody was a little surprised that he's been inactive the amount of games that he's been, and especially you talked about the lack of pass rush that they had. They got 2 sacks on Flacco yesterday, but they could have had a lot more. I mean, Joe Burrow was escaping the pressure there from the Jets defensive lineman. And it's just, it could have had was the 4 or 5 sacks on Joe Burrow there. But yeah, I definitely think I don't know. We asked Robert Saleh that. He said it was just a numbers game. They felt like some of the other guys there, I guess, were better. And, they had to make somebody inactive, and they just happened to make Bryce Huff the one that's inactive.
All right, thanks, man. Let me get to Richard, and then Mark, you close us out with Antoine.
Yeah. Hey, Antoine, I wanted to ask you, do you think that LaFleur and Saleh are saving this offensive scheme for the running backs for Wilson when he comes back? Because it is crazy for Flacco to be passing the ball so much and not using that running game when the running game is effective. And like they were saying, they weren't down so many points. I don't know. It just doesn't seem right. And plus, if say Zach Wilson doesn't come back this week, how could Saleh actually still go with Flacco this week and not bringing up, the intent to bring Mike White in?
Yeah, I imagine Zach Wilson's going to play, but I'm not 100%. Obviously, I'm not 100% certain. I don't know anything is until they make that official. But yeah, I mean, I just found it weird that they were having Flacco throw the ball that many times. Like, I just think no matter who you are, but yeah, I think you need to have that balanced running game too. But also, yeah, I mean, I know they said they were down, and they have been down. A number of those 180 minutes that they played so far this year, but yeah, I think some of that is kind of built-in excuse. I will say the fourth quarter at a certain point, yeah, you definitely have to start chucking the ball, whether it be the Ravens game or late yesterday. You kind of have to just say, what, abandon the run as much as possible and just start throwing it. But yeah, I just feel like they do that sometimes a little bit too early there, and you hope that you get that type of balance with Zach Wilson there. But yeah, I don't know if they're holding off for Wilson and more than they just feel like they're down and they need to just throw the ball.
Go ahead, Mark.
Thanks, BD. And Antoine, thank you, man. I really appreciate you being here tonight.
Yeah,
what makes the lounge special is that we get members of the press in here because we like get your insight, and it's awesome.
Yeah.
So appreciate you, man. About the defense, and I know folks have been asking you about the defense a bunch. Earlier today, after the Jet Lounge segment, I actually DM'd Brian Baldinger because I'm like, Baldy, like Jets fans want to know, please help. Like, send help. What is wrong with the Jet defense? Like, what do you think? And he wrote back immediately and was like, these are the worst blitz packages I have ever seen. Like, not one of these are getting home. So that sounds like a clear indictment of Jeff Ulbrich. But my question is this: if is the coaching letting down the talent? Is the talent letting down the coaching, or is it like a mixture of both? And I think more importantly, for someone like you, like for Coach Saleh, what do you think he thinks is the problem? I know he gives diplomatic answers, but what do you think he's thinking about why the defense is malfunctioning?
Well, I mean, they will tell you it's just been like just constant mistakes there, and then they've not been happy with the pass rush there. Saleh believes that you should just get pressure with 4 people, like for the most part. I mean, they felt like, obviously yesterday I felt like they got cute and tried to send the house for Joe Burrow, and of course it ended up biting them in the butt, especially when your safety tries to do a one-arm shiver on a wide receiver, and then he just bounces off and spins and runs 56 yards for a touchdown. So yeah, I mean, they feel like it's just like they're just not getting the production that they need, and from really basically all the defense there. So for me, like, I think it's a combination, because I think you kind of saw a little bit of what this defense could be against the Ravens there, and I think you saw it a little bit in the second half too. I think they did a better job against the Bengals, provided it was some obviously some miscommunication and some lapses there from the defense there. But I feel like after the first half was like, you really everything just kind of hit them, and they end up making some bad decisions. But I feel like they settled down, especially after the Quentin Williams blow up and everything like that. And I definitely think you saw some of the potential in the Ravens game too. there as well on the defensive end. Of course, also, some lapses there, especially the big plays there, that I think they also believe that the big plays have really killed them, and they have this year, whether you talk about the Bengals game or you talk about the Baltimore Ravens game too as well.
Antoine, as always, appreciate you giving back to the community. It means a lot to not only me, but the Jet fan base, and we really appreciate you spending a lot of time with us on the regular.
Yeah, no problem.
Thanks, Antoine. Appreciate you, bro.
Thank y'all.
Thanks, Antoine, for
All
coming
right,
in.
Yes, sir.
Antoine, thank you. I'll talk to you soon, all right, man? All right, guys, that was Antoine. Appreciate the nice comments by all you guys. Oh, man. I mean, I don't know what to dissect here. I'm just trying to move on, man, because
It's just an unfortunate situation.
it's just mind-boggling what's going on here, but guys, like I said after the Cleveland game, the Baltimore game, a win changes everything. So people will be pretty, high on life if the Jets win in Pittsburgh this weekend. That's all I'm going to say. I don't care how they win. I don't care if they win 13-12, 11-10 like San Francisco won. Just win. Do whatever it takes to win. And you know what? We may need to see some trickery if they're going to be conservative with Zach. Run a fake field goal, do another fake punt, do something. They got to do something different.
Petey,
So
can I just argue that a little bit? I
go ahead.
agree with you. The number one thing is a win, but we have to see them also make changes, man, because we can't just be saying, "Oh, we'll take a win anyway every game." Like that, it's just not going to happen like that. This coaching staff has to make changes. Yes, will I take a win anyway? Absolutely. I just want to win. But eventually I want to win because we're winning, not because we're getting, lucky games like that Cleveland game. We call a spade a spade. If you're a realistic fan, out of 100 times, that's the one time it happened. So for me, I get it. Yes, I want to win, but I want to win the right way. I don't want no questions. No. We won that game. We didn't need a miracle. We didn't have this. We just went out and won a game. I'll take a win anyway, but I want to see us beat a team.
Yeah, can't argue that.
Hey, man, it's not as bad as it looks. Honestly, it really isn't.
T-Rock, it is with the coaching.
No,
You can't.
Let me finish. That's what I was about to say. What you were saying, even if there's no changes as far as personnel, what needs to change is the play calling and the schemes on how they're attacking on the attacking these teams. That has to change because that has been poor. The situational football that we're playing, that has been biting us in the ass. We've been playing great on first and second down. We're giving up the big play in the money downs or whatever. We're not getting to the quarterback where we're pressuring the quarterback. We're not finishing. We're letting these guys get away. A lot of these quarterbacks have been getting away from him. We haven't been able to finish. Our defense, that's what I said, it doesn't look or whatever. We're 6th in the league against the run. We're in the teens as far as defense or whatever. So we're middle tier right now or whatever. In 3 games. Okay, that's not bad. That's not bad at all. Or whatever. The offense, needs to get going. You know what I'm saying? But situational football is where we're lacking. And we can't play. The bonehead plays is getting to us. We need to be. These coaches whether the coaches, the players, the vets or whatever, they need, hopefully they start gelling. They start playing better. Start playing smart football. If we play smart football, then I think we can win some games. Situational football is biting us.
Like to that point, like Ant too, and I'll jump in on this with you, Ant. Like what really ticked me off was if they're getting a Flacco and Flacco fumbled 3 times, so he knows the pressure's coming, And they're still calling plays that are going 20, 25 yard that takes time to develop. Just why don't you change the play or just do something different, like a hot route, a little curl out, a little slant over the middle, something. Just something. You
The
cannot
same way
keep.
Burrow came out. Did you see how Burrow came out? Quick
Yeah.
slant. Quick. They're getting a feel for the game because they know he's getting a lot of pressure and they're trying to keep him out of getting sacked. And like I said, that Baltimore game was 10-3 midway through the third quarter. There's no reason why you should be throwing that much. This week, it's 20-9 at the half. You come out, you run your offense, you balanced offense, you go down the field, you score, you're down 4. If you go for 2, possibly 3, now you get a stop and you score again, you're ahead. So it's not like it's 35-3 where you just cannot run anymore. It's just, I feel they go down 3 points and it's throw the run out the window and let's just throw. It's like they almost go into panic mode as soon as they go down. It's crazy. And the running backs are, when they're giving, obviously they're not going to gain 5-6 yards every run, but when you get them in a rhythm, you could see that they're starting to get a feel for it. I feel Breece Hall hasn't been able to break one because he's not given the opportunities yet. It's 2 runs, wait, 10 minutes, all right, give him another run, instead of getting into that grind mode. And then you're doing that, play action can happen, and guess what? Maybe you get a guy to go over the top. These defenses aren't worried about getting beat deep. They're not. So that's the thing that's alarming to me, is it's the same thing happening over and over and over. So, and like I said, I'm not arguing. I want to win, but you can't say I'll take a win. I'm not, and I'm just saying we can't keep saying every week, I'll take a win anyway. We have to go and win games ourselves.
I agree. We need a complete. We need a complete victory is what we need. We need a solid run
Exactly,
game.
you nailed it.
All that, And what's
Yeah,
up, NY Jet?
What's going on, boys?
How
How's
you
everyone
doing?
feeling? How you
Mike?
guys feeling? Yes,
Mike's your
sir.
name? Hey,
Yeah,
man,
NYJ
welcome,
Mike,
man.
baby. How you doing? Shout out my
Mike,
boy Zach
I'm
Carr. Yeah.
Yeah. So you got a podcast, bro?
Yeah, the
I'm looking
Broadway
at
Jets
you.
podcast. Myself and NYJ Matt. One of
Ah, Matt. Yes, a
Matt and
Twitter
I.
legend.
Yes, we grew up best buddies, Jet fans. We said we wanted to come and
When we get in
hang
that
out on
one-on-one
Twitter.
with him and Becton.
Dude, oh my God, he'll die. Even if Becton has his current injuries. But I told Matt to come hang out. We'll see. I don't know,
Yeah,
man. You guys, I agree with what you're saying. Where the Jets need an identity. It's for the last few years. You can't picture the Jets doing, what they want to do, dictating the ball. I think it's a lot of the line play, and it's very frustrating because the Jets have the most expensive offensive line, the second most expensive defensive line in football, or vice versa, one of those two. So, you put all these resources into the lines. You hear about Salah's group in San Francisco where they rushed 4 and they got pressure and they killed everybody. But it doesn't, it hasn't been working that way in these weird rotations. He's playing Quentin 9% of the time, some sick number. So I want the Jets to establish an identity. Of course, everyone remembers the ground and pound. In 2015 with Fitzpatrick, you get a lot of stuff over the middle with Brandon Marshall and Eric Decker and a steady dose of Ivory. So the Jets haven't had the identity, and that's the most frustrating thing. But, you get your young quarterback back, and if Zach throws for 300 yards, and someone said it before, if the Jets win, people are going to feel really good on Monday, and I think the vibe is going to really change. But it all starts with that defense. You can't come out and let up a 10-minute drive to Cleveland for a touchdown, and then you let the Bengals march down the field twice on you. You can't stop Jacoby Brissett. You can't get pressure. I know they're a little bit elusive, but, Jacoby Brissett and Burrow making guys miss and making plays downfield. Run defense, even though, it is number 6, but even against the Browns, they ran all over us. So we'll see. I'm very excited still about this team, and I like what they did in the offseason. So, after 3 games that a little uneven, I think there's a ton of talent, and the offense has much more potential than it has in a long, long time.
Yeah,
So
Mike.
yeah.
I have a question for you in the room, real quick. So,
Talk to me.
would you? Okay, knowing when Zach got hurt against, we all we're expecting a torn ACL, and we thought he was out for the year in August. So would you have signed up for 1 and 2, even though whatever, you would have signed up for 1 and 2, knowing Zach's coming back week 4? So that's what I'm saying, and
It's not a disaster. It's 100% not a disaster.
Right. That's what I mean.
We are okay. We're playing Mitch Trubisky next week. And you said, look, the Jets could be 2 and 2. That's great. That means we're playing meaningful football into October. We've got an exciting home game against the Dolphins. And, the Dolphins obviously have had a great start, but you never know. It's not the most polished team. They're not a veteran team that's done this a million times. Maybe you shock the world. You beat the Dolphins. Oh, my God. Now, it's an exciting season. That's what we're looking for. So it's good, but you want to see that combined with a new, creating an identity.
Fair enough. Good point. Mike, stay there, all right? Let me just get to a hand here. Joe, what's up?
I want to piggyback on something Anthony was saying a couple minutes ago.
Uh-oh, I'm in trouble.
I know you're screwed right now. I'm going to make you look smart.
Well, wait, and if you would have heard Joe this morning, you would have been screwed because Joe was on like a Benigno rant.
My hair was on fire.
Joe is on my wavelength at this point. I really do. The pot is boiling, and I'm real close to just overflowing at this point.
Go ahead, Joe.
All right, so this is what I was expecting to see in the first 3 games, and I really expect them to see it over the next 2. I was really anticipating that LaFleur was going to come out in 21 personnel and really commit to running the ball, because especially when you have a backup quarterback who's old like Joe Flacco, you have to commit to balance. It's silly to have him throwing 40, 50 times a game. Regardless of the game getting away, you would expect them to try to establish the run so that it never gets to the point that you're down by more than 1 score. Now with Zach coming back off a knee injury, and with a suspect left side of the line between Tomlinson and whoever is going to be playing left tackle, you really have to commit to the run. You really have to dedicate yourself to being a balanced team. Even when it seems like the other team is possibly getting away with it or anything like that, even if it's only down by 10 or 9, stick with the run almost to a fault. Stick to the run, because if it gets into obvious passing situations, I'm really fearful for Zach. I'm really fearful that either, he runs around and his knee's not 100%, or, he just gets blindsided or clipped or anything like that. He should not throw the ball more than 30 times this game. I'm not worried about the Steelers, beating us in a shootout. I don't think the Jets need to go into this game with any semblance of let's win this game through the air. Let's win it balanced. If it's an ugly, 20-12 game, so be it. But I want to see them win it start to finish, committing to balance.
Yeah, but Joe, don't you think that because our buddy Kenny was on here and he's like, "Oh, I don't want to hear a game manager." No matter what. Yeah, I am too. But no matter what, we can't satisfy everybody. It's just
no. I respect to Kenny. I will be thrilled beyond belief if all Zach is a game manager up to the bye week. Good, because that's progress from what we saw last year. You have to crawl before you can run. It's the exception when you see the guys come out and throwing 300 yards and all that kind of stuff. As all the great weapons that he has, I wanted to get his feet underneath him, because the rest of the team is hit or miss. He's got great receivers, got great running backs, but he's got a shaky offensive line. And I think it's too much throwing that on him behind an offensive line, especially if you're going to be calling 5 and 7 step drops. If they're doing the same thing like what you said before about, the Joe Burrow stuff, where he's taking 1 step back and firing a slant, he's taking 2 steps and he's throwing a screen or anything like that, cool. I'm okay with that stuff. That's stuff to keep your team balanced. It's a substitute for the run. Put Berrios out there running bubble screens, all the stuff he did last year. Recommit to the short passing game and the run, and then sprinkle in the deep shots. Then throw in the intermediate stuff. Don't try to go far down the field and come back in, build short, then go long.
Hey, Petey, can I just jump in
I
real
agree with
quick?
you, Joe.
Yeah.
If you look up, I put something on the top. Sterling Shepard made a boneheaded penalty, went to go in the game the next play. Dable grabbed him and told him to stay on the sideline.
Okay.
It's just, I mean, you know, people don't want to give this guy, and I'm with you, he's been the coach for, this is his third game, but he's showing these players that he's basically the judge, jury, and executioner. If you're going to do something wrong, you know, we've been saying that word all day. He's holding them accountable. You want to make a dumb penalty, stay on the sideline. That didn't happen with us. Again, I said it. John Franklin Myers should not have played another snap that game. I don't care what anyone tells me. Make a statement.
And I'm going to piggyback off of that. I was at the, sitting at the bar waiting for the wedding to start because, after pictures or whatever. So I had a huge break. I missed a couple of plays, but when he did that, Franklin Myers, and I'll admit this on air, guys, I said the game's over. With that, I knew it. I knew it. I'm like, they're not going to win this game. Got killed everything, man. They would have got the ball. Now, I'm not discrediting Cincinnati. He could have boomed the punt to the 1 yard line, but hey, Joe, can you mute yourself real quick?
Yeah,
please?
I didn't know.
It's all good. Yeah, no, it's all good. So, even if they pin him, but we would have got the ball back at the 20, 25, 30 yard line at least. And then, you start doing stuff and playing field position, something, just get off the field. And I thought it was 4 steps. I mean, I counted it was like 2.5, 2. I can't kill the guy for it. It's just,
No,
he's
I
got
get
to
it,
get
Petey,
away
but he
from him.
not only did he push him down, then he lands on him. It's like a double bone. He was getting a flag. If they let him go with the push, he got it because he landed on him.
And
It just can't happen. I'm sorry, it can't. No more. It cannot happen. You seen it? Quincy Williams did it to Hurts in the preseason. Like, okay, it's the preseason. It's still dumb. It shouldn't happen. But it's the perfect thing to say. We got to stop doing this.
That was a lame call, but also he should have just not landed.
Oh, no,
on
I
it.
agree, but
it's
it's the NFL. It's the NFL now, Mike.
It was
You know
not.
what I mean?
It was not a lame call. It wasn't a lame call because he got away with the push. Then he landed on him. That's not a lame call. Because if it was our quarterback, we would have demanded the same thing.
If it was our quarterback, they probably would call a flag on us.
They would have never threw the flag if it was,
They would
that
do
close.
You know what
They would have called holding or something.
Yeah,
You know what? I thought was a bull crap call, and it went for us. I couldn't believe they didn't call that tippy toe in the back of the end zone
T.
a
Higgins.
touchdown.
Yeah, I was shocked.
I
He
don't know.
caught
The
that.
Stadium cam, it kind of looked like his heel was on the line, but
Yeah, it was really close. It was
I
really
was also completely incoherently drunk.
Hey,
That's
yeah.
my good
Guys,
I think that's what I need to start doing on Sundays. Just get shifty so I don't remember nothing.
Oh,
I want to get to a guy that I've known for a long time on here, about 12 years, a great friend of mine. His name is Jet Dom, but he's really Randy. He's an old-time Jet fan. Randy, what's up?
Oh,
how's it going, bro?
Good, man. You.
Just
Speak to me. Speak to the lounge, bro. Give him some wisdom.
I know about that, but having watched this team for a number of years, it's you got to be a strong heart. I'll tell you that much. But I think what the theme of tonight really has been, it's about management or lack thereof. I get the impression. I like Salah when they hired him. I have reservations on the guy right now. I think he wants to be a player's coach. And in this type of league, you can't be. You got to be a coach. I'm not pleased with the play calling at all. I think LaFleur should be replaced. Hopefully at the end of the season, they'll get rid of him. They need to get their shit together, and they don't have it right now. Discipline needs to be redone. Team needs to know who the hierarchy is, and they need to go from there because they look like a 12-headed monster out there when they're playing. There's no direction.
I hear you, man.
You can use every adjective in the world is what this team is doing, and I'm tired of getting teased year after year.
Randy, how long have you had season tickets for? Over 30 years, right?
Pretty much, yeah. I go back to Namath. So those that don't know me.
Guys, can I be honest, Randy? Randy's about my father's age. He's an old school, great guy. This guy is awesome. Give you the shirt off his back. And he's tired of this crap. I know he is. And Randy, go ahead. Keep speaking because
Yeah, keep speaking because you're speaking everything I want to hear right now.
I mean, it's fucking water torture every year. You know, I feel personally we probably have some of the best based on the last draft. You know, Beckham, I don't think Beckham will ever play again. And if he does, I don't think it'll be for us. So we lost the number one. Quentin Williams, to me, is not a first round pick. He hasn't played like it. He's a good player, but he's not a great player. You look at some of the picks we've made, I think we've lost more than we've hit on over the years. But it really boils down to, you know, what the coaching staff is going to do and what management does. I mean, I like Douglas a lot. If he fucks up, then he's got to go too. But I mean, so far, you know, this past year, I think he did a great job. But it's just that the team is not playing where it should be. We were, you know, the Brown game, I don't think anybody thought we were going to win that game. It was a shocker to me. Maybe I'm the only one. But, you know, that was a winnable game Sunday. And to sit in a stadium with, you know, Cincinnati fans around me as they do every frigging game that we're playing somebody, it's horrible. It's horrible. And, you know, you got to sit there and take the crap from these people when they're there. Yep. Unless this team starts to get, you know, some wins under their belt, which looking at the overall schedule, I don't know, but, you know, I'm not. But,
no, Randy,
you know, you got a tough Dolphin.
Just to go off your point real quick, like everybody's circling, oh, Detroit. We're going to beat Detroit. We're going to beat Jacksonville. We're going to beat the Bears. Well, okay, well, they're not guaranteed we're going to win these games.
And Detroit's not playing a pushover anymore. You know, you look at the schedule. Miami game not a given. Green Bay not a given. You know, then you got
it's brutal, man.
Oh, it's friggin' the NFL screwed us when you look at the overall schedule, but it is what it is. I mean, we'll be lucky if we end up at 500.
I hear you, man.
And quite frankly, I think that's going to be a reach. Not to be, you know, Debbie Downer here, but if you look at what's going on, we're screwed. We'll probably have a top pick next year in the draft again if they don't screw that up.
Benny, jump in, and Ant, if you want.
Yeah, go ahead, Ant, if you want to.
There was no 500. No, I just want to real quick go back to what Randy said. I couldn't agree with him more. I mean, every team seems to be, you know, making progress, and right now, you know, Randy, I said it last week. I wish I would have heard from you sooner because I really like hearing what you're saying. But you know, that win against Cleveland hit a lot of bad things that happened in that game because they just wanted to win. And now you lose a game like you did again yesterday. It's like, well, you know, a lot of the things that happened in this loss happened in the win last week. And we just looked by it because we wanted to stay positive and we got a gift from God, basically. That's what it took to win.
But again, I circle back to coaching. You know, Salah comes out and makes the comment about the receipts or this or that. The team is not playing
we're
any
unlucky
better
today. Did you hear that today?
Yeah, I didn't want to get into it. But, you know, I've been to practice. I've seen him at practice, got the opportunity to meet him for a couple seconds at practice. You know, he seems like a really good guy. But sometimes I get the impression he wants to be more liked than be a coach. And if you're going to be a coach, Parcells was a prick, but he was a hell of a coach. You know, and when you're fighting with people on the sidelines to try to get them to do what you want to do, they either do it or they sit on the bench. To me, it's black and white.
Absolutely. Dable just sat Shepard because he made a dumb penalty in this Giant game.
Randy, question for you: What's the thing that worries you the most right now with the team? Is it the offense or the defense?
I would say because look, at the end of the day, is what our front lines are. Okay, offensive front line, defensive front line. If they're not defensively, if you want to touch base there, if they're not standing up and going the side, they're going to get pissed all over the place. They're not going to do anything. It's going to happen and happen and happen again until you stop them, and then they're going to have to change their game plan. And that's our fault. The same thing offensively. Our offensive line is like a sieve right now. You know, play a boom, sack, whatever. They're not getting anywhere. Defensively, the same deal. We should be attacking every QB out there. I don't know what we're doing other than changing channels every 3 seconds with new people.
Yeah, you know what got me going too? Jermaine Johnson set that edge, stopped that run, was
Right.
all hyped up, and then they take him out.
I don't get it. It's like a rotation.
Yep. Hey, Randy, just stay there, all right? Because there's a couple of guys. We're gonna end the space soon, so let me go, Benny, Cap, and then Joe. All right, Benny, if you want to chime in with Randy or whatever, bring up anything. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Benny, bad reception. Benny, log back in, log out, and log back in. Is it me, guys? You don't hear him, right?
No, I don't hear him.
No, I
Either. He's
I don't
breaking
hear
up.
All right, Cap, what's up?
Nothing's going on. I think that's the most concerning is the defense, just due to the fact that nobody on this is the roster that was in camp. Like the offense, you could say, okay, offensive lineman went down, this went down, it's a mishmash. That defensive unit are the starters from day one. There's nobody on that defense that suffered an injury, and that's the product they put out there.
You can't even argue that. That's a great point. The defense has the offensive line has been decimated. So, and Zach's been hurt.
Well, the one thing I have to say is that he's got to learn to play within himself. That move that he did when he got hurt in that game was stupidity. He should just ran out or just hit the ground, and he would never fucked up his leg. He tries to do too much. He's got to play within himself. And if he doesn't do it, he's going to get hurt again and maybe out for indefinite period.
Yeah, that was one for me too. Go ahead. Go to Joe.
Go ahead.
Randy said something, and it reminded me of a question that Zach asked maybe about 6 to 8 weeks ago about who does Saleh remind me of, and he really reminds me of Gus Bradley. He coached under Bradley. And I think he picked up a lot of the bad qualities that Bradley had, because Bradley was very much like everybody's best friend style head coach. You'd always see him in the offseason. Everybody in the media loved Gus Bradley. No one would say a bad thing about Gus Bradley, but his team was always awful. And they played exactly like the Jets are playing right now. And I don't know if the zebra can change his stripes. I'm trying to be positive that Saleh can do this, but I don't think.
I don't think it's going to happen.
I don't think he's going to change from it, and it's probably better to cut bait at the end of the season if it doesn't change.
And I'll tell you who I jump on: Sean Payton, because he's available. I would take him as a coach in a minute.
Yeah, Randy, there's two guys that I like. There's Sean Payton, and if you can't get Sean Payton, the other one is Raheem Morris.
Sean Payton's still under contract. You would have to trade a boatload of draft picks.
But you know what's crazy about all this
It's still worth
conversation,
looking
man?
into.
Zach Wilson hasn't played a game yet, and you're talking about changing the damn coach.
T-Rock, if he don't change the way he coaches, I don't care if Zach Wilson plays great.
I told you before,
Zach
if
Wilson
Zach
is not
Wilson
going to
plays
change.
great, Zach Wilson is saving all their jobs.
No,
If
he's
Zach Wilson
not.
plays-
Because if they
yes, he
continue to
is.
make, oh my God, man, if he continues to make boneheaded mistakes like he's doing and throw 50 times, and his players cannot be disciplined, that's not the quarterback. It's the coach. You got guys that don't know what they're doing on defense. You're supposed to be calling timeouts. I'm surprised he challenged that play at the goal line where he was
Yeah,
bobbling.
me too, bro.
The smartest
Chase.
thing Saleh could do is become the defender.
Everyone's
that-
putting Zach as a savior.
what I
The
said.
kid hasn't played. This is crazy. It's crazy that you think a young
Randy,
quarterback is going to
that's what I'm
save a head
thinking
coach
here.
who don't know how to
That's what I'm
coach.
thinking is Salah
Right.
to take over the reins and let Salah run the defense. That's what I want him to do.
He was a great defensive coordinator with the 49ers. Why can't he transition over here and do the same thing? Because the dude that's running it now sucks.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree. That's what I said before. Obviously, we know the Jets have the talent on both sides of the ball. Okay, everyone's blaming the defense. I think the defense is just staying there too long, or whatever, and they're getting gassed or whatever. Even with the game they lost this Sunday or whatever, and people, Cincinnati doing that. They held Cincinnati to 7 points, and the Jets had multiple chances to get back in the game, and they just couldn't. Obviously, they were getting Flacco, and Flacco wasn't open receivers, and we already know we just beating a dead horse or whatever. If they make the good game adjustments and they play and they start playing good situational ball, then we'll see them start when they can't hurt themselves. They're hurting themselves, and they're not playing disciplined ball. Those are all things that could be corrected. Are they going to be corrected? We're going to see. We're going to see moving forward. Or where we need to see Zach play a couple games or whatever. It's not all going to be all doom and gloom because Zach plays one game. We need to protect the kid. Like I say, you need to run the ball. You need to do screens. You need the tight ends to stay in or whatever. You need to do everything you need to do to protect the ball, protect Zach, and that's the main thing to see if Zach is our future.
T-Rock, let me give you a quick business analogy because Salah's come in and he's kind of embraced this CEO like model. If you're a CEO of a company and you scale too quickly,
right,
things can go really, really wrong. Inefficiencies start blowing up, things get lost, things fall through the cracks, and you have to go back to basics. And if you're also a CEO, sometimes it means you have to roll up your sleeves and you have to go back to the ground floor yourself and help people out and show people how it's done. Because sometimes you will hire smart people, but they'll do dumb things. And there's no shame if you're the guy in charge of going back to the ground floor and saying, look, guys, this is how it needs to be done. It's okay that we've made mistakes, but you cannot, as a CEO, just turn a blind eye to them or just hope they'll go away.
You got to own it.
Yep.
No, I agree with you. Look, I'm in cybersecurity, so I know exactly how to plan risk management and risk avoidance or whatever. The Jets needs to look at this and they need to mitigate what they're doing wrong and what to avoid. If he needs to fire Ulbrich, he needs to fire him and take this damn reins over. That's where I see what's going on there.
Because quite frankly, if we all owned businesses and ran them the way this team is run, we'd be fucked.
We'd look like an episode of Bar Rescue when they have John Taffer come in and scream at us.
We'd all be shut down.
Hey, Brian, go ahead. Oh, sorry, Kamal, I didn't know.
No, it's good.
Go ahead.
Yeah. I just wanted to chime in on the whole Salah thing because I think today, listening to like WFEN, the Michael K show, Twitter, everything, there was, in my opinion, and maybe this is a wrong take, but there was a big overreaction with Salah, and he's got to move on. And we're already talking about like Sean Payne and stuff. Listen, Salah needs to take over defensive play calling. There's no doubt in my mind. And I think we all agree on that he's pretty loyal to Ulbrich and he's loyal to the system, just like he's probably very loyal to LaFleur. And we're not going to see a different offensive coordinator as long.
But loyalty can put you out of a job too.
I'm not saying that's not the case. I agree with you 100%. I think there's going to come a time he's going to feel the pressure. He said what he said in the last couple of weeks, and he's going to feel the pressure. The reason he's a head coach in the NFL, and especially for a New York team, is because of his defensive play calling in San Francisco, and he needs to take over and start doing that from New York. And I think he's going to. Listen, one of the first things he said that's going to be the most difficult part of being a head coach when he got hired was that he now has to play CEO. He now has to take control of the locker room. He has to take control of the offense, the defense, and everything. And listen, CEO is not working out. And I don't think that's something to be like freaking out about. I think he just needs to go over and start playing defensive coordinator and taking over that play calling. I wasn't happy with the way LaFleur called the game against the Ravens, but I also don't think the last couple of weeks, like, listen, when we saw the schedule in the AFC North, when Zach Wilson was healthy and Mekhi Becton was healthy and all the transitions happened in free agency and the draft, no one really thought that the Jets were going to be 3-1. They're 1-2. They're going into Pittsburgh. They're they have to, in my opinion, they have to beat Pittsburgh. They have to beat Pittsburgh.
And what
And if they beat Pittsburgh and the Jets are 2-2, I think we can all be on this lounge next Monday and sit around and say, okay, we are exactly where we thought we were going to be with Zach Wilson, with Robert Saleh, with Joe Douglas. And now the season starts. Now it begins because now we have to go into Miami, Buffalo. We have to play Denver. We have to play Green Bay. Like now the season starts a little bit.
But what if they don't win Sunday?
Well, I don't want to have that conversation yet. I can't sit here and say.
But you have to be prepared to do it though, based on what's going on.
That's not my. As a fan, though, I don't have to sit here and say, what if they lose to Pittsburgh? I have to sit here and say, okay, listen, we're 1-2. I was not expecting, and I can't imagine I'm the only person in this space that thinks this, that even with Zach Wilson, even with Mekhi Becton, Robert Saleh, and Joe Douglas, and everything we've done in the offseason, that I can say the Jets would be 3-1. There's no way.
No,
the Jets,
I
you
agree,
could walk
Brian.
away and say, listen, if the Jets were 2-2 with even those pieces in place, you'd be happy.
Brian,
We'd all be sitting here
I
saying
even-
we're happy. And
Brian,
guess what? Now you're going into Miami at home.
You're
No one
absolutely
thought
right,
Miami was going to
Brian.
be 3-0.
Brian, I was even saying if you could be 4-5 at the bye, I'd be happy because
Yes.
then the schedule softens up a little bit and we could make a little run. Not saying a playoff run, but just being play
everyone.
meaningful
If you're a
football.
competent Jets fan, what I think a lot of guys in this lounge are, you wanted to play competent football in November and December. And we're still on track to do that. Now, I'm not going to sit here and play the what if we lose to Pittsburgh story because, listen, we don't know. I'll talk about that on Monday. You have to beat Pittsburgh. You have to because then, listen, with or without Zach, the Jets were a 2-2 football team. And we're on track to be a 2-2 football team. And until we find out on Sunday what this team really is, I don't want to talk about Sean Payton coming here. He's not going to come here. He's going to Dallas. He's not coming here. We're not getting Sean Payton. With Saleh is. I know the things that he's been saying is turning a lot of us off, but the Jets, if they're a 2-2 team with Joe Flacco, that's exactly where we expected to be with Zach Wilson. And you're not going to change my mind. They're going to be playing competent football.
No,
in
you're
the months to come.
100% right. You're 100% right.
Yeah, the thing is,
You're 100% right because Steve Young said it.
But wait,
After 4 games,
guys, there's two
hold on.
people you can't guys
He's-
all can't
he
come
maybe
in like
he's-
this.
How Paul had my hands up for a long time. Okay.
Ground and punt. You just got in a couple of minutes ago. We'll get to you, guys.
Hey,
We're gonna
Pete.
end this space soon. So go ahead.
Hey, Brian, you're 100% correct. I was listening to Steve Young, and Steve Young said after 4 games, if you're 3-1 or 2-2, you're exactly where you need to be.
Yeah, but that's where we expected to be with Zach
Yeah,
Wilson.
I agree with you.
2-2. We saw the AFC North. What did everyone say? Oh wow, the NFL screwed us. We got the AFC North, one of the toughest divisions in football for the last 10, 15 years, and now we have to deal with them to start the season with Zach Wilson. And guess what? We're 1-2 with Joe Flacco. Now listen, I'm not ecstatic with the way this offense is played. I wasn't happy with Mike LaFleur's play calling, and I'm sure as hell not happy with the way Saleh's run this defense. But Saleh's not running this defense. It's Jeff Ulbrich. And until Saleh takes over, we won't start seeing dramatic changes. But if the Jets are 1-2, and you can call the Cleveland game whatever you want, whether they should have won or guess what? A win's a win in this league. This league doesn't wait for anybody. You won a football game, you're 1-2. Go to Pittsburgh and beat them. I don't care if you beat them by 1 point or if you beat them by 25 points. You better walk away out of Pittsburgh with 2-2 because MetLife will be playoff atmosphere week 5. If they lose to Pittsburgh, there'll be 40,000 people in those stands. So this is make or break for the Jets. I really do think Saleh still has this locker room, and he's going to get those guys rallied for Sunday. And call me crazy, call me optimistic, whatever you want. This is make or break, and I think everyone in that locker room knows it.
Agreed. Let's get
Agreed,
through
Brian.
Ground and punt. Go ahead, and then Kenny close us out. Ground and punt. Go ahead.
Can you hear me? You hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah. Listen, I get it. A win's a win and a loss is a loss. So, like, if they would have lost by 1 point yesterday, their record is still going to be the same. But the thing is with this team is they've had a constant pattern the past probably 5 years of probably being the most non-competitive team in the league. And I understand it's a good point to say, like, yeah, Jeff Ulbrich, have Salah take over the play calling duties, but at the same time, yesterday the horses are just not running the race. I mean, in the fourth quarter, the Bengals were deliberately going into situational football mode and deliberately just killing the clock, running the clock all the way down and just running the ball. And they were running the ball with this like Pirine guy, and the Jets defense had no answers.
Wait, ground and punt. This Piron guy used to be on our team.
That makes it even worse.
That was LaMichael Pirine.
Nah, that's
No,
Samaje.
that was
that
Samaje
wasn't
Pirine.
LaMichael Pirine.
That's Samaje Pirine.
No, that was Samaje
Oh my
Pirine.
gosh, my bad.
No. So anyway,
I don't know why I
they're
thought that.
running the
My
ball.
bad.
No, it's okay. They're running the ball down the Jets' throat. And we know what they're gonna do, and we still had nothing for them. Like, it was like the Jets defense was completely outclassed, and even at the stage of the game where we knew what they were doing, call it an Ulbrich thing, call whatever the hell you want. Like, that's horrible. A good team doesn't get
I'm gonna disagree
dominant.
with you about one thing. I'm gonna disagree with you about the one thing. When we were playing man, we were actually playing very well to where their receivers were not, getting space, or even if they did catch a ball, it was something that was extremely contested. Even the pass that
listen,
Sauce almost had it deflected. So the defense, when they were playing man, they were in right places for the most part. It's when they went into the zone to where guys were getting open, and
then they gave up an identical touchdown that they did 2 weeks in a row. The one that they gave up to Amari Cooper, the same exact type of miscommunication happened.
That was on Joyner. In my opinion, that was on Joyner. Joyner,
It was on
that was supposed to.
Well, we don't know who it was on because we don't know what the right play call was. I said, you know what I'm trying to say? Somebody has to answer for that.
Tiki Barber on the fan said that was all on Sauce.
But 2 weeks in a row, they got beat on very similar routes where there was a miscommunication between Sauce and the safety. Two weeks in a row. Fine. Whatever. Listen, it's the NFL. Good players are going to score touchdowns, and it's just going to happen. But the type of non-competitive football, it's bad. It's really bad. And Sanad, we were talking. I wish you were in the space yesterday. I was talking about. I remember talking about, like, I remember kind of saying I have my reservations about Salah. I'm concerned about him, and we were talking about that Tampa Bay game specifically. And listen, I'm still rooting for Salah and everything like that. Personally, I wanted Doug Peterson. I'm not just saying that because Jacksonville's 2-0. Like, at the time, I really wanted Doug Peterson, but they were like applauding Joe Douglas for oh, it's great that he didn't hire somebody that he's familiar with, that he thought outside the box and everything. And hey, listen, who knows? But what's going to happen here? 2-2. They win by 1 point, like the previous person was just saying. Like, a win is a win in this league. That is true. The thing is that the Jets have been. They have an endemic problem where the second half they do nothing. They have a garbage touchdown against the Ravens. Other than that, they did nothing in the second half. Against the Browns, 28 minutes, they did nothing. And then they finally put up something in the last 2 minutes. And then in this
why
game,
are you still
they did
complaining
nothing.
about it back to win a game, regardless of how they played in the first half? They were able to make adjustments in the second half and still find a way to win. The team is 1-2 going into week 4. You got to be able to take it game by game. Unless the team is 1-4.
I give them credit for the win, but you can't turn a blind eye that they did 28 minutes of no points. Come on, bro. You're not going to win this league.
But now you have Zach coming back. and let's see how the offense is able to play. Flacco.
But then what are you
just
going to
run it.
say if they do the same thing?
Well, then it's a
With this
regime
line,
thing.
with this
Then it's a
line, it's really
regime.
hard to evaluate a quarterback, right? Come on,
Well,
guys. How are you going to evaluate a quarterback with this shitty line?
well, Mel, his play needs to do the talking too, bro. Or he's got to perform. It's time to put up. Let me get grounded punt. Let me get to Kenny, and then
Sack.
we're gonna close the space after Kenny and Sack. So Kenny, go ahead.
What's up, Justin?
What's up?
So basically, listen, I hear everybody saying, "Oh, they're 1-2," and yeah, but you got to remember something. They're 1-2 with the arrow pointing down, and going into Pittsburgh, it's gonna be a tough game. They never win in Pittsburgh. It's going to be a tough game, and I'm sick of hearing about offensive line. Every NFL team has the same problem. Their offensive line sucks. And what overcomes that is a good quarterback getting the ball out, reading the defense, getting away, escaping from the rush. And we don't have that. We don't have that. I know Zach is a running quarterback, but like I said, he has a lot to prove no matter what the offensive line is. So, we can't be happy. Oh, we're 1-2. Oh, I'll tell you right now, on paper, we will be underdogs
You're
in
not
every
giving Zach
single
a
game.
chance at all. Period. You're not giving Zach a chance at all.
I'll be honest with you.
At all.
Well, you know what? He better come in these next games and play like where he was picked. I don't care who's playing. I don't care if I'm lined up with Tanad playing right tackle. You better overcome deficiencies. That's what good quarterbacks do. They put the team on their shoulder.
We're gonna see if schematically.
Because I'll tell you right now,
right place.
Well, you know what? I'll tell you right now. This season, he's going to play the rest of the games. Hopefully, if he doesn't get injured, he's going to play the rest of the games. And he better have, and I said it before, he better have the it factor. Because if he doesn't, here's what I do. I'm going to do the same thing the Arizona Cardinals did. Rip it up and start over. And you know how you start over? You send Zach packing and you sign Lamar Jackson. That's only if Zach doesn't show the it factor. And we all know what the it factor is. We've seen it with these young quarterbacks. Look at Jalen Hurts. He's playing great. You could just see these guys are making plays. And Zach has the weapon now. Now you're supposed to scramble out of the pocket when the rush is coming. And he's got a gun. Let's see him use the gun right. If he can hit a target with the run. Let's see him step up in the pocket and scramble. What he's got to do is he has to extend plays if the original checkoff is not there. And he better do it. That's what he's brought here for, to be the franchise.
Kenny, for me, right? I'm putting the pressure on Zach, but at the same time, I'm also giving him time to be able to, by game 2, I feel like him getting 60 plus snaps in a game, that should be able to find him, help him out when it comes to timing and rhythm with the receivers, along with the time that he's getting in practice. I'm not gonna give him so much time to where okay, I'm just gonna keep allowing this offense to struggle. I'm not, especially LaFleur. They have to find a way to get these guys open when it comes to Elijah Moore and Corey Davis. To me, Garrett Wilson is going to get open. I'm not worried about him. But Elijah should not be playing on the outside all the time. Put him in the slot. Put Corey outside. Put Garrett Wilson outside. Find a way to put these other guys out there to allow Elijah to create space, run his slant routes, and do whatever he wants on the inside. That type of weapon has to be used. And I think, with Zach, it's going to help the offense out. But the O-line is scary to me. So that's one of the worries. Hopefully Zach can really take it to the next level and get better, because I'm tired of hearing you and everyone else not give him a chance. But at the same time, I understand it. We're hungry for a quarterback.
Zach, go ahead, jump in, and then we're closing the space.
All right. Look, I listened for a little while. This team has so many issues. It goes beyond Zach Wilson. I don't know what everybody is so crazy with this Zach. there's so many issues on this team, and if you don't watch football, you don't see it.
I can't
First
hear.
of all, Jake Asman actually pointed out today something ridiculous. It was probably brought up already. First of all, you got a coaching staff that's stubborn. They act like they did something in this league. Oh, people say they did. No, they really didn't. So Saleh is not a defensive guru. 4 out of the 5 San Francisco teams were in last place. Okay, and Michael LaFleur is wet beyond the years. The coaching staff is stubborn. They're stuck in their ways. They're putting a square peg in a round hole. They're not San Francisco. You can't play just the way San Francisco defense. There is no Bosa on this team. And guys like Bosa cover up a lot of issues. Now look at this. The first 2 games that the Bengals played, they struggle against cover 2. So those teams played 35 to 40% cover 2 on the Bengals, made them, and they won. And they gave them fits. So our coaching staff looks at that and says, yeah, we're going to play one play, cover 2. And that whole game, they played one cover 2. So they're stubborn in their ways. They didn't look at it all and say, yeah, this team struggles against cover 2. We might as well do it ourselves. No, not for them. No. Number 2, this whole thing, yeah, Zach Wilson. I can already see what's going to happen here. Because Zach Wilson's going to come back, and with this O-line, he will struggle, and it won't be so much on the kid. It'll be this O-line too. And then they'll say, okay, Zach's not the guy. And to get Lamar Jackson, yeah, everybody would love that. That's got to be it. That's a wish. That's never going to happen. They would have tagged this guy twice before he even gets out of it. Never letting him out of there, number 1. So, I mean, we got to develop Zach the best we can. I would get rid of this coaching staff. If they win 4 games, they all got to go. They all got to go. I mean, it's in shambles. Saleh doesn't even know what to say on this press conference. Talk about luck. Talk about all types of fucking crazy things. There's so much issues on this team, well beyond it. Is the coaching is really bad. I mean, I'm looking at this Giant team. They're losing, but they're getting people open. See this guy running around the offensive line, and Neal's not playing out of his mind. He's actually blown, but Daniel Jones is quick enough to get out of there, but he's finding people open. This team has so many different issues. The defense is shot. You got no safeties up there. So people think Will Parks is the answer. Well, you know what? Throw him in there. What could it hurt? But you see, they don't. You guys were all calling for Mike White. Why not throw him in there at halftime and see what you got? No, you want to stick with them. I'm sick of, I got to tell you the honest truth. I'm probably more harsh on Saleh than most, and it's been since game 1. And maybe it was unwarranted, but now people are starting to come onto my side and see that this guy has absolutely no idea what the hell he's doing. I take Kellen Moore. I want an offensive coordinator next coach, and I want somebody. If Kellen Moore has never been a head coach, I understand that. I would rather have Sean Payton. That seems like another pipe dream. But I got to tell you something. This coaching staff is not good. They're not good, and we could sugarcoat it. T-Rock is the biggest optimist, and I love him for it. But the problem is we got to open our eyes and see. You got to see that this team is in shambles.
Yep.
And I don't want to sound like Joan Clark and say, oh, people call me, but it's in shambles. It's in shambles. There's no fucking discipline on there. People that are doing whatever they want. Players are yelling at other players. Players are yelling at coaches. This is going on. Corey Davis is grabbing. We're on the fucking 6-yard line. CBS loses its fucking feed. I come back. We're on the 20-yard line. He's grabbing the helmet after this other fucking JFM character jumps on this other guy after. What the fuck is going on? Well, I mean, understand. What are we watching? And the coaches, there's no fucking second half adjustments. And that Brown game, yes, T-Rock was right next to me, and he was jumping on us, and we were jumping on him. But that was a fucking luck game. And yes, they didn't score, just like Ground Punch said. They didn't score the whole fucking fourth quarter. The chances of getting that fucking, if they don't get that lucky fucking onside kick, we're 0-3 now, which we probably should have been. I'm telling you right now, and as for everybody that abused Adam Gase, me included, you know what? This fucking solid guy, he's real fucking close to being worse than Adam Gase. The only difference
No
between
way.
him, the only
He's
difference,
far
the only
from it.
difference, the only difference between him, I know you guys are gonna say, is because Adam Gase alienated players, and that makes him worse. But their fucking records, they're not anywhere close right now. That's a fucking embarrassment. They're not anywhere close.
How many wins did you expect Salah to win last year?
Salah?
Seriously,
Six?
how many
Six?
wins did you expect the
Six?
Jets to win last year?
6?
Okay, 6.
6
They
would have been
won.
good.
Okay, that's fine. And then how many did you expect them to win the first 4 games this year?
With no Zach Wilson?
No, even with Wilson, when we knew the AFC North was the first 4 games, how many wins did you expect?
Well, with all this talent on the team, I would say, I don't know, 2.
2? Okay,
Yeah.
and they have 1, and they're playing Pittsburgh next week with Zach Wilson. They'll win 2 in the first 4, and they maybe came up short last year by everyone's expectations. You can't compare wins and losses from Salah to Gase. Everyone knew Salah last year was going to win whatever he won. It doesn't matter.
Let me ask
This
you a question. Who had more talent on his team, Adam Gase or Robert Salah right now?
And wait.
And
I'll answer that. In
okay, so
2009
yeah, that's a
in
fair question. This
2020?
year, Salah does, yeah, for sure. And guess what? The Jets are going to be, if they beat Pittsburgh, which I will sit here and say that they are going to beat Pittsburgh. They will be 2-2. And you just answered my
went
exact
7-9.
question.
You know that with that shit team, shit team. They have a better team now than they had that year. Right
They were
now.
not going 3-1 this year. They were never going 3-1.
No, we're not talking. I'm talking about overall
Last year.
Record. Oh no, overall record.
You can't.
Zach, you sound like we're gonna go 4-13.
You can't talk about Adam Gase and Robert Salah
You know
took
what?
over a team last year that was incompetent, and we all knew that. Not a single Jets fan expected to win many games last year, and then they come in this year, and you saw the schedule in the beginning of the year, and you said, "Okay, Jets will go 2-2." I think that's a fair assessment.
Yeah, but that's not. You're looking at it in a vacuum. You're not looking at it in reality. The fucking team's
that is reality.
No, the team's in shambles.
No, they're
There's
not.
no-
How could you say the team is in shambles?
Okay. Look, bro, I don't even know who.
Zach,
I don't
there's
even
a
know
lot
who
of
the fuck-
Zach,
who
there's
is
a lot
this
of
guy?
things that can
First
be
of all,
corrected.
I don't
You're
care.
not- you're-
Listen,
you're
you're calling me
basically
out.
giving
It's
up
fine.
on the
I'm
team.
not trying to call you out as a Jets fan.
No,
I'm
I'm saying
trying to
this.
put on this conversation.
Wait, hold on. I'm saying this. I was talking. You jumped in, right? Let me ask you this question.
Hold on, Zach.
You're talking.
I'll mute. Sorry.
Hold on. You're talking about. I say it's in shambles because you're looking at more on a granular level than what you're seeing as wins and losses. Let's just look at what the team is doing. There's no discipline on this team whatsoever. The shitty fucking the plays that are happening, people hitting people after the fucking ball. There's no discipline. There's no creative game plan. Am I wrong?
Am I allowed to talk?
Yeah.
Well, go ahead.
I said I talked earlier 20 minutes ago, and I said I was never happy with LaFleur's play calling, and I've said it multiple times. This offense needs to show some life, whether it's Flacco or whether it's Wilson. There needs to be better play calling. So I agree with you on that. What I'm saying is this, and the reason I chimed in, and I'm sorry if I interrupted you, I really didn't mean to come off that way. You can't compare Salah to Gase. Whatever Gase had, no one even wanted him to be the coach in the first place. Salah was the head coach when he was in that building and he went to Philadelphia to go interview for Philly. I remember going on Twitter and everyone saying you can't let Salah leave the building, and we all felt that way. And if it wasn't all, it was 90% of us said you can't let Salah leave that building. Now I'm not happy with the way things are worked out, but last year, if the Jets won 4 games, they won 8 games. I was not expecting much. This year, yeah, I had a little bit higher expectations coming out of the offense for sure. And I'll put a lot of pressure on LaFleur, and I'll put a lot of pressure on Ulbrich as well. That's why I said earlier, I think Salah is going to have to take over the play calling on defense, and which I think is going to happen. And I also think if the Jets are 1-2 with Joe Flacco as a backup quarterback and no tackles, that's not the worst case scenario. The Jets are not in shambles. They're 1-2 against an AFC North conference that we thought with Zach Wilson and Mekhi Becton they were going to win 2 games. They're going to. I'm not going to say they're going to beat Pittsburgh. if they beat Pittsburgh, which we will have this conversation on Monday, the
Sure.
Jets are exactly where we thought they would be with Zach Wilson, and he's out.
No, we're saying they're in shambles because the team there's no accountability. There are
But
no
Sack,
adjustments.
so
You
you
got
think
defensive guys that don't communicate with each other. Guys are running wide open.
you think that's Salah's fault that Corey Davis grabbed that guy by the face mask?
Exactly.
Yeah,
It's not.
I
It's
do.
not
Salah's
I blame it all on Salah.
But
you know
he should
why?
have benched him.
You know why?
That
Because when
okay.
JFM did that, he should have took his helmet and chucked it into the fucking 18th row, and he never could have played again. And everybody else would have looked at that and said, you know what? Maybe I don't want to do that.
All because Dable yelled at Jones week 1, and we all
Fuck
compare ourselves
Dable.
to the guys that are crosstown rivals.
It's not about Dable. It's
Yeah.
about a head coach that wants everybody to be his best friend. That's what it is.
All right. Well,
But you
And
also
what?
said,
Let me ask
but
you
wait a
this question.
second.
Let me ask you this question. Do
Hold
you
on,
not have
Sack.
the? Let me ask you a
Sack,
question. Out of
let me
all
help
the,
your point real quick. Sack,
hold
help
on.
him out.
Out of
He
all
said,
the young,
he said that the team was incompetent last year, but Gase had a very similar incompetent team as well the year
guys,
before.
the Salah's roster was worse than Gase's last year. I'm sorry.
Thank you. Thank
It
you.
was worse than last year. It
Thank
was
you.
worse than Gase's. And then
But
everybody got upset, and Brian's right. Guys, can you just want to use mute? Because remember when Salah left and he went to freaking Philly, and everybody, why did you let him leave?
Let
Bro,
them.
you're
Yes.
exactly
because
right,
we
bro.
believe what everybody else believed.
No, that's
we
not
smoked
true.
the same
That's not
fucking
true.
pipe.
Because listen, if Joe Douglas doesn't hit on, listen, we can all sit here, and to Petey's point, we can all sit here and say Garrett Wilson was a great pick. Jermaine Johnson was a great pick. Sauce Gardner was a great pick. We all sat here and said that is a great draft, and everybody in the media said that this is exactly the Jets had the best offseason out of everybody. And guess what happens? Now we'll sit here, and if let's just say Sauce and Garrett Wilson don't work out, we'll be like, oh, Joe Douglas is an asshole. Guess what? He did exactly what we expected him to do, and that's exactly how we felt about Salah. No one wanted him to leave the building.
That's not true either. What are you smoking this fucking green pipe? First of all, Salah's excellent. Listen, Salah's excellent at draft. Yes, he's done well.
No, it's not Salah.
Zach, I don't think
draft,
you
the
like
first
Salah.
see, this
Zach.
guy won't
Yeah.
listen. The first draft he had was terrible. But
Who?
okay, let's blame
Douglas?
it on. No, hold on. We'll blame it on Adam Gase. Okay, because
No,
Gase picked those
100%.
players.
He was drafting for that system. For
Yeah,
sure.
of course he was. Yeah, of course, because it was a bad one. But now he picks
Okay,
two.
so then he had
gets
two good drafts with
Hold
Salah,
on.
and then
What
what's
the fuck?
excuse?
Why can't this guy let me speak for a second?
Zach,
you
you
spoke.
both are
Let
going
me
at
speak.
it.
The second draft, good. Third draft, very good so far. Jury's still out, good. But he cannot, there's another part of being a GM other than drafting. It's called signing free agents. And the free agents he signed, other than DJ Reed, very less than, first of all, let's start with Ryan Clady and let's move on up down the fucking list. Look at the fucking guy. Look at Brown.
Ryan Clady was McCagnon, bro.
What? No, it wasn't.
Yes, it was.
No, I mean,
Clady.
no, hold on. The guy he brought back out of retirement. That was Joe.
That was Khalil.
Yeah,
Greg Van Roten.
Clady Khalil. All right, Clady Khalil. Go ahead.
Brian Khalil.
Then you look at Brown. You look. Fucking Whitehead looks like a fucking. I don't know what the fuck he's doing over there. All these free agent signings, they're all not good. Lincoln Tomlinson, jury's still out. Who knows? You know, sometimes he plays really well. I don't know. All pro.
All right, Zach. But his drafting, though, to his defense, and
well, you know what? You can't be a GM in this league on draft alone. You do know that, right?
Oh no, we wouldn't have
Zach,
Elijah
I
Vera
do know
Tucker or
that.
Garrett Wilson.
Hey, gentlemen, it's only game 3,
and
bro.
We've also
There's like 14
at the same time,
14 more
to
games
your
to
point,
play.
like the free agency. I sat on all these lounges, and again, maybe I was in the wrong lounges. Jordan Whitehead, CJ Uzama, those were two of the biggest signings, and everyone was freaking out. Now, I don't agree with the way LaFleur is using Uzama, and I understand the frustration if you want to talk about him. But the point I was trying to make is, like, everyone sat here and thought Joe Douglas is doing everything right 2 out of 3 years, which a lot of GMs don't do.
He
Okay,
is.
so
Just saying the free agent signings are less.
so now we're gonna sit here and blame who?
We're not
Douglas?
blaming him. I blame Salah, my man. I
Salah-
blame Salah.
Salah's-
I blame LaFleur. I blame
I-
that
horrible defensive fucking.
No, I
coordinator.
agree. Albrecht's terrible, but Salah's
Salah's
not
what?
the,
What
not
is
the
he?
problem.
What? Tell me what
Salah's
he is,
not
other
the
than a
problem?
fucking
Brian,
hot
Brian,
windbag.
can I ask Zach? Let me just jump in here for a second. Brian, let me ask you a question. Okay, you've watched all 3 games, correct?
Yes,
You've watched the preseason games, correct?
sure did.
Okay, so would you tell me that if guys are making the same mistakes week after week that they made in the preseason, these dumb late hit penalties, all this shit, you have to hold guys accountable. If you do not do that, they have no fear of kidding the bench. You know how you affect these guys? You don't play them and it affects their money. Again, now that's one thing. 2, all these fucking play calls. I understand you have an OC, you have a DC, but at some time, you're the top of the ladder. You have to say, stop throwing the ball. We have to run. It's the same thing. Flacco is averaging 52 attempts a game. He would break the record by 150 attempts if he stood on that pace. You have a 38-year-old immobile quarterback. You abandoned the run in 2 of the 3 games where it was 10-3. In the Baltimore game, in the middle of the 3rd quarter, the run went out the door before the end of the 2nd quarter. Last week, it's 20-9. You're down 11. You're getting the ball. The fucking run was gone in the middle of the 2nd quarter again. My problem with his is he's not fixing mistakes. You have LaFleur saying we can't have Flacco throw 59 times. Great. He lowered it to 44 and then went right back up to 52. That's a problem with coaching. That is all coaching to me.
I said LaFleur was the problem. I said it multiple times on this last
no,
tonight.
he's saying LaFleur's the problem. He won't
I've
give
said it
any
multiple
problem.
times.
But you won't give any blame to Salah. For God knows what God name reason that is.
Because everyone's blaming Salah
He's
for
the
this
CEO,
defense.
isn't he?
He's not a guy. I
He's
said
the
it.
CEO.
I
You
said
know
it
what
earlier
happens
on.
in my
Hold on,
listen,
Zach. Let him talk, Zach. Let him say.
I said it earlier on.
So if they
this
win
podcast.
next
I
week, are
literally
you going to
said,
give Salah all the credit and not give the credit to the other coaches? I mean,
Of
come on.
course. If he does great, he gets all the credit. If he does bad, it's everybody else's fault but Salah. You know
Doug
what?
Peterson-
Salah hasn't.
Come on.
He hasn't done
Can I
nothing.
ask you an honest?
I said
Zach,
Salah.
Let me ask you a question.
Brian, let me ask Zach a question.
Okay, I'm just gonna
Zach,
mute.
No, Brian, relax. You're good.
Now,
I'm
Petey,
not
let me
saying
ask you
relax.
this.
Like,
Look at all the.
wait, Zach, do you go to bed at night wanting to wake up better? I just have to ask that question.
Well, that's along
'Cause
with
you
that's
love
along
that
with the other
saying.
6 sayings he has. Tony Robbins. Listen, let me ask you this question, Petey. Let's go to all the young head coaches that we they're either rookies this year and rookies last year, and look at how they're doing. And not even rookie, the new coaches. So look at Philly, Sirianni, very good. Even Chicago's very good. Look at the Lions, who we abused.
Chicago's very good.
Well, listen, we abused the Lions head coach, right? Listen, Tanad, you can laugh all the fuck you want, but I'll tell you right now, the Lions head coach.
Zach, come
listen,
on,
everybody,
man.
everybody was abusing.
Why are you, Zach? You know what? If I did this on your space, you would be telling me, Pete, calm down. All this shit. Come on, man.
Well, because when people laugh in your face.
He's not laughing at you, though.
The reason
It's
that I laugh
funny.
is because you really said the Bears are in a better situation.
I didn't say they
than
were
we are.
And the Lions
I mean, they're 2-1, and you guys are basing it.
Yeah,
on
but yours
Lions have one win.
You're basing it on
Lions
wins
are
and
1
saying
and
we're in a
2.
good spot at 1 and 2. So I mean, you know.
Yeah,
they
and
are
which
in a
head
better
coach
spot
would
than
you
us.
rather have? Would you rather have the Lions head coach or ours?
You know what, Zach? The reality is we're going to root for the team no matter what. So,
No, but the thing is, we made fun of the ankle biter and the fucking bite your kneecaps guy, and we were like, we thought we got the best guy. We didn't.
Well, the jury's still out, bro.
The jury's still out, man.
The jury's still out.
Jury's still out. The jury's still out. Well, look around the league. Even look at all the guys. Dable too. They lost today. They're 2-1. Their team is a much.
Wait a
Oh,
minute.
so the
Wait a minute.
Giants
You talking about
technically
luck?
should've-
If it wasn't for a missed field goal, the Giants would be 1 and 2, bro.
Who's better?
If you talk about luck, the Giants were missed field goal.
Who's better
coach? They should have lost.
We don't know. That's the answer. We don't know. How could you say it? That's what I said before.
Dable just
We're
lost
talking
to a
about
backup
crosstown
quarterback.
rivals because
what
of what
did we
Dable
do?
did to Daniel
So we
Jones.
Dable. This is his first year as a head coach of the Giants, and we had all the Salah last year. But we give Salah a mulligan all the time. It's like,
But-
oh yeah,
but
last
Zach,
year,
he
no, it was a
should-
rebuilding year.
No,
4 wins, no
this
problem.
year, Zach, this year, if Salah does not produce, yes, last year, Zach, they had 2,400 rookie snaps, the most ever in NFL history by a landslide.
Thank you, Pete.
He's clueless, man. He's clueless,
Okay,
bro.
Hey,
Wait,
Petey.
let
Clueless
Cousins
guy.
jump in because his
Hey,
arm's
Petey.
gonna fall off.
Hey,
Cousins,
Petey.
let me get Cousins in. Yeah, T-Rock.
I love for Cousins to talk. I really would.
Go ahead, Cousins.
All right. Listen, you guys, I don't want to hear about the record. I don't want to hear if they're 3-0, 4-0, what we expected. This team is an utter embarrassment right now.
Thank you.
And if you cannot, you guys, if you listen to this guy today talking these press conferences, now all of a sudden we're going to be 3 or 4 weeks into a season. Now you want to talk about, well, maybe we got to scale back a little bit. What did they do for 2 months? This coaching staff. Listen, you guys can say the jury's out. If you are in here right now telling me that you don't think this guy's in over your head, you got jet blinders on. You cannot tell me he does not look in over his head. His press conferences, the things he said, they're awful. He's so unprepared. And we can say everything about Joe Douglas. The draft is great or whatever. Joe Douglas is responsible for the staff. That's on Joe Douglas, the staff. And I'm telling you right now, you guys
That's
can say whatever you want,
100%.
that we're going to go forward. We're going to do this. The games are going to be better. What did we expect? You're going to tell me any one of you would not have put Mike White in at the half, change the momentum, try something different. The guy could not move. That is on the head coach. That's the guy that makes those decisions. The discipline and the lack thereof, that is on our head coach.
Cousins, if it was 20-0 at half, yes. They were 2 scores away.
Pete,
I'm
they
not,
couldn't move the ball.
He just said what I
wasn't the
said, Brian.
answer.
But hold on. Cousins,
Let
can I
Brian
just
talk
rebut-
now.
Wait, can I just rebut that real quick? Cousins, they were an Elijah Moore pass away. Moore should have caught that ball. The game's totally different. They moved the ball. They didn't execute at the end. And that is on coaching. But if Moore catches that, it's a 1-score game in half.
You know what, Petey?
The
Anthony
ball hit him
texts
right
me.
in the
Anthony,
friggin' chest.
listen, Pete. Anthony texts me as soon as that late hit by JFM. He said the momentum
Zach,
swung the other way. We were fucking finished
Zach,
right after that.
I said it at the bar. I texted my friend, game over. The guy I sit with at the game. I said the game's over.
But
after
who's
John
that on then? If Salah's the CEO,
that's on John Franklin Myers, bro. It's a
not
stupid
on the
play.
coach.
It's on Salah.
It's guys.
Not after you get signed a contract like the way JFM did. You fucking man up and you earn that contract.
He's
You
the
don't make that play.
CEO.
Yes, and then I look, and then Douglas quietly restructured his contract next year. So now we're stuck with Franklin Myers next
Petey,
year. That
how come Bill
drove me
Belichick
nuts.
coach teams don't make those same penalties?
So so Belichick's teams don't have any personal fouls? Come
Not
on,
like
bro.
that.
Not like
Come
that.
on.
How come they don't have those kinds of stupid penalties?
We're talking about
Like that
Joe
was
Judge
egregious,
mentality for
that
New York.
JFM penalty.
Petey, could you ask Cousin one question, please?
Yes.
Cousin, come off mute for a second. You don't
I'm
blame
here.
Salah for the fucking undiscipline on those late hits?
Yeah, 100% I do. 100% I do. And
But
you guys
why?
think
Explain.
you guys think it's because that is the atmosphere he has set. It's on him. It happened in this preseason with Williams. And there were people in here said that's not a good thing. That can be a problem. And you know what? It wasn't put to bed then, and it festered, and it did. It came back and probably cost them a game. And that is on the head.
You had another one in the most crucial point in the game yesterday when you're going in and Corey Davis does that. That cannot happen. He should be inactive this week for that.
Trade him. You know what? Honestly, after that, I want accountability. I am tired of watching this team for years without accountability. I need to see accountability.
100%.
Salah said
does
on
not
that
bring
drive. Salah said that on that drive that the fans were not into the game at all. That the stadium was dead silent. And he said if we score on that drive,
He's not wrong though.
So it's our
Well, the
fucking
thing is,
job
the thing,
blame the
to
fans, they
Petey,
got
encourage the
nothing
players
to
to
be
play.
happy about.
you can't blame the fans because
Petey, what do you
give
get
us
out of
something
it?
to cheer about.
You don't.
Give us something
You're
to
right.
cheer about.
Kenny, I'm not arguing that. MetLife was dead on 9/11.
Yeah, and
I
getting
hate
back
to say it like that.
Getting back to Salah's press conference. Come on now. How could you say that we haven't gelled yet as a unit?
That it was
We don't have
stupid.
enough reps together. They've been together since July. I don't want to hear we got to be cohesive as a unit. We haven't gotten there yet, and maybe we got to scale back. Scale back.
He
No,
also
know what you
said that
do?
he also said
Here's
the
what you do.
defensive line had a good day today. That's another thing he said.
Oh, yeah, you know what the problem is? He's lost the team. He's lost the fans, and it's become a joke.
No,
the press
that's not
conferences
true,
have become
Kenny.
a
That's
joke.
not true.
Can I give you one real quick? I'm going to give you guys one example, okay? We had a lot of injuries last year, right? You know who also had a massive amount of injuries was Baltimore. They played for a playoff spot until the last game of the year.
100%. They lost their 3 starting running backs.
But they also
and 2 starting corners, Kenny, and Lamar Jackson was hurt.
To that defense, they still were good when Lamar played, though. That gave
No,
them a boost.
listen to what I'm saying, Petey. I'm not saying that. Listen, we won 4 games, okay? So I'm not even trying to compare them. What I'm saying is if you put a different head coach, you don't think that Harbaugh had a reason to do with the way that team played? They lost both starting corners. Their top 3 running backs. Jackson was hurt. They had that other kid come in and play. And they continued. You know what they did? They continued to play to the strength of the team. Because to me, that's all good coaching.
I can't even put Salah in the same sentence as Harbaugh, man.
But that's what I mean. And I'm not trying to say he's got to be Harbaugh.
I know.
When you have good coaching,
and Anthony, you're 100% right. And regarding these stupid goddamn penalties that I'm not talking about holding these stupid penalties that players could avoid. Here's what you do. That happens. I would have told JFM yesterday, take your fucking jersey off, go hit the shower, and that's it. And now everybody else is like, this shit can't happen no more. And I would have.
But
that's
Kenny,
what you do.
When's the last time a player, besides being ejected, has been told to go in the fucking locker room? Mike Singletary?
Well, you know what?
Maybe it needs to be done again.
Show some balls, maybe finally, as a coach.
Can I jump in real quick? Because I got to point to exactly what you're both talking about.
Joe, hang on 1 second. Guys, if you're requesting to come up, the space was supposed to end almost an hour ago. I'm sorry, but just hang in there. I'll try and get you up. But just, guys, please, I need to go to bed soon.
Sleep when you die. We're talking.
Anthony, take over.
Joe, go ahead.
So I just heard someone say, the Patriots don't do anything like this. I'll give you the perfect example. In 2017, remember when Rob Gronkowski cleaned out Tre'Davious White when he was lying on the sideline? Does anyone remember what happened after that?
Yes.
Belichick benched him the rest of the game. Of course, the league suspended him after that. But that's what we're alluding to here is Belichick and good teams like the Patriots coach selfish play out of their players. And when players step out of line, they feel the repercussion. They get benched by their coach. They learn not to make selfish plays. And Pete, this is what made me blow up this morning when everyone was saying, how is it JFM's fault? How is it Corey? Those are selfish plays. Those are plays where you're letting your emotions get the best of you to the detriment of the team. And that is something that Saleh has not coached out of his team. And that's what angers me, because it is what he's talking about when he says we beat ourselves.
So let me ask
that
you
is
something,
on
Joe.
him.
Joe, to counterput, because it just made me thought. Remember when Beckham and Josh Norman were going at it?
Yes.
Remember that? Don't you think fucking Beckham should have been pulled out? Was that under?
Absolutely, and that was a failure on his head coach.
Yep.
And that's why teams
And
like that
wasn't
started to
Tom
fail.
Coughlin?
Look at what happened to Coughlin. Look at what happened to Coughlin's team at the end. It started to deteriorate on him. When you let that shit go, this is what the product becomes.
No, that's the culture you set. If you want to be everybody's best friends, you heard what he said. He said, I can't. They said, how do you feel about getting in a player's face or being hard on him? And he says all the time the same saying. He says, if I have to get in someone's face that's playing a kid's game at a king's ransom, they don't deserve to play. Well, that's not.
Then don't play him and stick to your word and don't play him.
Players want to be coached.
Honestly, guys, from listening to this, I would bring up Bryce Huff and bench Frank.
Absolutely.
Well, where is Bryce Huff? He's on a milk carton.
But I know. I was my favorite player.
He's
in the
inactive,
preseason.
Zach. He's
I know.
been inactive all 3 games. I don't understand
Caesar,
why.
jump in here. Jump in here, Caesar. What's up?
Man, I completely agree with you on Salah. And if you guys don't have any concern after watching these first
I
3 games
do.
on him as a coach, then it's because you like him because he's a nice guy. Because honestly, you look at like the shit, like the D line never able to actually get there, but putting all these pressures on the quarterback. You know why Franklin Myers hit him? Because he hadn't touched him all day. He was right there all the time, and then he finally got a chance. So we went and touched him, caused that penalty, and the game goes from there. It's the same thing with all these drops. We have the most drops in the fucking league again. This is all on coaching. It's like it's a collective problem. Like we're gonna talk about the Elijah Moore drop. Like he's like some player, some nobody wide receiver. Any team would take him. And it's like
Did you
they're doing.
Did
they're
you
doing
just say
this
drops is on coaching?
Yeah, when it's happening like this, nobody's getting
How
the
is
ball.
that? How is
They're not
drops
used
on coaching? That's concentration on the player.
Listen, you know why I wanted Salah? I wanted Salah too. And the reason why I wanted him, because I thought he reminded me like a Rex Ryan. He's a fiery guy, and I thought the defense would be good, even if the offense was shit. Because sometimes in Rex Ryan, the offense wasn't good, but his defense was always good. So I figured at least one side of the ball would be good. But guess what? Both sides of the ball are bad.
Stack, you know what the difference was? I think with Rex Ryan, you could see his imprint on the defense. With Salah, I don't see that, and that's why I think it needs to change before the defense really, loses confidence.
I
agree.
Hey, yo, Tanad, wait a minute. There's a difference. Wait. You're talking about a really a young defense versus Rex Ryan had Hall of Famers on his defense and like really all-star. Wait, that's a whole totally different roster, bro.
Big C, I get you, but at the same time, the talent that we have, this defense should be playing much better than they are right now.
It's 3 games, bro.
I understand, but so what?
3 games becomes 5 games.
They have not been able to get off the field on third downs. You saw how many times that Barrow literally got out the pocket and he still had 2-3 seconds. The touchdown by Pete.
Bro, that pissed me off.
There's no way, bro. There's no reason for Sauce to be playing 3.5, 4 yards deep in the end zone when he should be guarding the goal line. If he's guarding the goal line, that's a pick.
1,000%.
The exception that we dropped the pick. We forced a fumble. After Flacco ended up fumbling and we didn't recover that. We had chances to be able to win those games, to be able to find a way to get back into the game, but it's just not happening right now. It's not happening. And the players need to take accountability. They need to be aware when the ball is loose, somebody need to find that ball. Just like when Max Mitchell jumped on that fumble that they had, they need to be able to find the ball.
So let me ask you, before you go to Happy real quick,
go ahead.
Let me ask you this question. I agree with Tanad 10,000%. So when do you blame Salah? When he has an all-star team and then we still don't play right?
I'm blaming him right now. This is why I'm
No, not you. I agree with you. What I'm saying is the other people that were defending Salah. It's like, when do you blame him? When we have an all-star team and then they're still bad? The fucking team's got talent. He's not coaching up to his expectations of any of these fans. But I'm gonna shut up. I know you got Happy.
Let me.
No, let's get after Tanad. You say, but then we'll get. His name isn't Happy tonight. It's Mr. Ulbrich. There's another guy that hates him. But go ahead, Tanad, and then go ahead.
So earlier, someone had brought up if Zach Wilson can save a head coach's job. Yes, but at the same time, if the coach's job is to be a defensive force and they're not being that quarterback can't save him. He has to be able to make an imprint on this defense for us to be like, okay, you know what? Now he just has to find someone to be able to take care of the offense, because what he came here for, like Zach was saying, is to be able to coach the defense. That's it. And right now, the defense is not helping as much as it should have. We should be one of the teams to be able to get to quarterbacks 3-4 times a game. We're not doing that right now. These guys are not getting to the quarterback, and it's frustrating. Go ahead, Happy.
What's going on, Dilf and Tenard?
I'm sorry up this late, man. What's going on?
No, just watching the game. But yeah, just wanted to say real quick. I see we got some of the Jet Lounge guys that are in the fantasy league. Sack, Anthony, Justin Ocho, Tenard, Just want to announce that I'm officially 3-0. So I am the lone undefeated person in fantasy football. Congratulations, Sack, on getting your first win. It's about time.
Yeah, I knocked off Gotham City for you.
Zach, you won?
Anthony,
All
Anthony,
right.
my
So
prediction is
so
coming
so what
closer and
happened? You didn't say
closer.
what's up to me, brother.
My bad, T-Rock. I'm
Yeah,
just talking
T-Rock's
trash.
the
Listen,
honorary
I
I'm
did
just
lose
trash.
my starting quarterback, Happy.
I'm just trash talking my fellow opponents here in this
Yeah,
fantasy
I
league.
lost
And,
my quarterback.
you
So
know,
what, Zach? Deal with it.
and Anthony's guy dropped his ass as I said I was going to. But no,
What's
it's all
going
good
on,
yet.
Mr. Ulbrich?
I mean, I said what I said earlier. I mean, there's really not much else I could say. I'm honestly ready to look forward to Pittsburgh. I hope the doctors fucking clear Zach so we could obviously see what this offense could hopefully, what it really kind of should be made of. We could maybe get some RPOs, get Zach outside, move the ball around. Zach definitely has a better arm than Flacco. So, but we'll see. Like I said earlier, left tackle needs something needs to be done. Fant needs to step up, or if Dwayne Brown comes back, then goodbye fucking George Fant and put in Dwayne Brown because Max Mitchell's been playing well at right, so I don't think there's a need to move him away. And yeah, I mean, like we've all preached earlier, the defense needs to wake up. I said it earlier, Petey, that back-to-back games we've given up first drive touchdowns. I mean, that can't happen. Like this is getting ridiculous where we have to not only play from behind right away in the ball game. And again, you're asking a young quarterback to come in and have to constantly do that. He did that last year. Like enough is enough. So I mean, the defense has got to wake up. The pass rush has got to do something. But like Petey said, Jeff Ulbrich was fucking garbage. He shouldn't have been hired. He was horrible in Atlanta. There was no reason. Only reason why he was hired because he's Robert Saleh's friend. Other than that, he absolutely sucks.